An island for all. I can add attributes to everything. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201, Set Sail Again. Sube counted the time, from the time he knew the Dark Tide Murloc riots to the present. It was only 4 or 5 days. As a result, all the mermaids came to him for help. The offensive of the Dark Tide Murlocs is so fierce. Carrie missed his mouth and looked a little embarrassed. Captain Caroline was very calm, and said, "We have also heard about your record. Now that the Dark Tide Murlocs are raging in the sea area, we should join hands to resist the enemy and repel the offensive of these dark tribes." Sube nodded. "It's true, the Dark Tide Murlocs won't retreat. I'm not going to develop very well. 99. A stable surrounding environment is a prerequisite for rapid development. The Undertide Murloc threat must be cleared. Just ask Sube to go to the Dark Tide Murloc army and fight hard, then let's not talk about it. At most, he beat the autumn wind on the side. Attacking the Undertide Murlocs is profitable, but Sube doesn't put himself or the island at risk either. 687. Restraining his mind, Sube said, "This matter needs to be considered in the long run." The mermaid Dinah looked anxious. "The situation is critical now, we can't waste time here." Sube asked curiously, "The mermaid family is so powerful that they can't be beaten by the Dark Tide Murlocs?" The 3 mermaids looked a little embarrassed. Fortunately, Yvette came over to make a clearance and said, "The island owner doesn't know anything, although our clan is strong, but there are not many people, and it is at a disadvantage compared to the Dark Tide Murlocs." Yes, Dinah nodded in agreement, then looked at Yvette and saluted. "I have seen Captain Yvette." Yvette came with Eleanor and the others. After a few words of greeting, Yvette looked at Carolyn. "Captain Carolyn, what's the situation now?" Carolyn sighed and said, "Don't hide it from Captain Yvette, the situation is a bit dangerous." Now that she said it, Caroline simply said everything she knew. "It's pointless to hide and tuck." Carolyn said, "The number of Dark Tide Murlocs has exceeded our expectations, and there are 300,000 who have been identified." 300,000? Eleanor exclaimed. Yvette also looked suspicious. Even Sube was smacking his tongue. "Good guy, the Dark Tide Murlocs are too capable." But thinking of the previous battle, there were already about 4,000 Dark Tide Murlocs who died on his island. Sube suddenly felt that 300,000 Dark Tide Murlocs were reasonable. Sube asked, "How many people do you have?" Carolyn replied, "Around 15,000. With a disparity ratio of 1 to 20, it is a miracle that the mermaid can persist until now. But this is in line with the name of the strong family. If it had been replaced by other aborigines, such as the sharks, they would have been bombed long ago." Caroline continued, "Now we have given up the perimeter, shrinking the defense and waiting for the opportunity." Sube nodded. "This tactical choice is fine. Just facing the siege of so many Dark Tide Murlocs, I am afraid that the mermaid is also under a lot of pressure. They are too few in number and very passive. Dark Tide Murlocs can launch attacks from any area, and mermaids will consume a lot of energy just to help them back and forth." Carolyn looked at Sube, saluted solemnly, and said, "Although we also know that this request is very inappropriate, but also ask your excellency to lend a hand. The mermaid family is grateful." 35. Sube began to think. Upon seeing this, the 3 of Carolyn stopped talking, but waited nervously. Yvette wanted to say something, but she thought of the previous battle between Sube and the platinum-level werewolf, and immediately swallowed her words. With such a large number of Dark Tide Murlocs, there must be many strong ones. Can't let the island owner take risks anymore. She can't stand that kind of torment. Yvette chose to trust her own people. The mermaid family has gone through countless hardships and continues to this day, and will definitely not be defeated by the Dark Tide Murlocs. The scene was a little quiet. After a while, Sube said slowly, "It is my duty to fight against the dark race." The 3 of Carolyn were surprised, while Yvette and the others were a little sad. The island owner is going to fight a powerful enemy again, but they can't help at all. Immediately afterwards, Subei changed the conversation. Well, I've been busy recently. 35 Carolyn immediately stated, "Don't worry, Your Excellency, the Queen has already informed us, waiting for the end of the battle. There must be a heavy thank you." Subei shook his head regretfully. "I just captured a battleship. It needs time to deal with it." Carolyn knew that this was Subei's dissatisfaction with the payment. No matter how valuable the gift is, it has to wait for the battle to end. Even the Queen's promise could not impress the island owner. Carolyn went on to say, "This time we are looking for your trace, and we have a total of 10 teams to set off. We will join your subordinates and offer our loyalty to Your Excellency." 5. Subei was a little surprised. The Mermaid Queen is here as a gift for him. And one gift is 30 mermaids. But is it necessary? Subei believed that the secret orders Caroline and the others received, in addition to making them swear allegiance, must also include devotion. But the mermaid family and the Queen didn't make a move. They were top powerhouses. Not to mention 300,000 dark tide merlicks, and twice as many. I'm afraid it won't be enough to kill. There's no reason to be so polite to him. This is what Subei can't understand. He did kill a lot of dark tide merlicks, but no matter how much he can fight, how many can he kill? After thinking for a while, Subei decided to agree first. He needs to upgrade. The werewolf cheek made him feel the pressure. If he wanted to quickly kill the platinum level, he must be promoted to the platinum level as soon as possible. And the fastest way to upgrade is to absorb the magic energy crystal. So many dark tide merlicks are impossible to miss. Collecting his thoughts, Subei said, "Okay, I promise you." 35 Caroline breathed a sigh of relief, then a little sad. "I will live on this island in the future. But for the mermaid family, they are willing to sacrifice themselves. In addition, this human island owner is still very handsome, and it's not a disadvantage." Carolyn's pretty face was slightly red, and she felt her heart beat a little faster, but she quickly adjusted her mind and asked, "I don't know when you are going to leave." Subei smiled. Now. After talking about 2.5, Subei called the spirit of the island, gave the sailing order, and informed all the members of the island at the same time. Caroline saluted solemnly and said, "Thank you for your righteous action." Yvette said by the side, "It's still so lively." Caroline resolutely changed her tune. "I have seen the island owner." Subei gave Yvette an approving look, and this wave of assists played well. Seeing that the island under her feet began to move, Caroline said, "Islander, I want to call the other teams to save them from danger." Subei nodded. "It should be so, but you have to pay attention to safety." Caroline replied, "Thanks to the island owner for your concern. There is a seahorse chariot here, it's okay to be careful." Afterwards, the three of Caroline drove away quickly in the chariot. Subei found Helena and Eve. The next battle requires a werewolf battleship, which must be handled as quickly as possible. Advertisement Chapter 202 Primary Intelligence Killing God 202 New entries for Spirit of the Island. Helena and Eve have been notified by Subei that they are going to fight the Dark Tide Merlicks next. And there are still 300,000 Dark Tide Merlicks. Now that I saw Subei coming again, I naturally knew what he meant. Eve Hui reported, "Islander, the analysis is almost done. As long as the breath of the Platinum-class werewolf is cleared, it can be re-recorded, thus gaining control of the battleship." Subei immediately smiled with satisfaction, nodded and said, "Well done. The progress is faster than I thought." 35 Eve, however, was not too optimistic, saying, "Islander, the key to the problem is to clear the breath. That is a platinum-level werewolf, and we can't handle it." 99 Even a dead platinum-level werewolf is still platinum-level after all. Helena, the highest ranked on the island, only has high rank in gold. Even with the addition of the talent bonus of the elves, there is no way to start. Fortunately, Helena thought of a solution. They can't do it, doesn't mean Subei can't do it. The living Chike was beheaded by Subei, and his residual breath must not be a problem. After Subei thought about it, he was right. The reason why the breath left by Cheek is troublesome is because of the erosion of demonic energy. But to him, the magic energy is a tonic, and it can be absorbed directly. Under the guidance of Eve, Subei put his hand on the command magic pattern, and 17 then resonated with it. In an instant, the remaining demonic energy on the battleship surged. Helena and Eve stepped back subconsciously. Then I saw that the magic energy was instantly absorbed. Hiccup tilde exclamation mark. Tsubei hiccuped, feeling somewhat unfulfilled. He felt that if there was more magic energy, he would be able to level up directly. Fortunately, those werewolf corpses are already being recycled, and it is expected that he will get a lot of magic crystals, which is enough for him to be promoted to the silver level. Helena, who was watching from the side, said thoughtfully, I seem to have found a way to level up quickly. 35 Eve was originally studying the magic pattern, and she asked curiously, what method? Helena looked at Tsubei, licked her lips, and said maliciously, I can formulate a stronger upgrade secret medicine. Let the island owner drink it, and after his purification, the excess energy can be absorbed by us. I was so upgraded before. Eve thought for a moment, nodded and said, the feasibility is very high. You can try 2 more times later, and if you are sure there is no problem, help me make 2 bottles. Tsubei's scalp felt numb. These 2 elves are planning to squeeze him dry. Helena acted decisively, walked to the hatch of the ship and said, I'll go back to dispense medicine first. Island Master, wait for my good news. Before Tsubei finished speaking, Helena disappeared in place. Tsubei was helpless. Eve said quietly from the side, Islander, we must be promoted to platinum level as soon as possible, otherwise how can we help you solve problems? Although he knew that their starting point was good, Tsubei sighed and said, my request to you has never been to fight, but to use your knowledge to promote the development of the island. Tsubei knew very well in his heart. Although Helena and Eve's levels are high, they haven't taken the initiative to level up, and they have accumulated over time. All of their energy was put on researching potions and magic patterns. Correspondingly, the combat ability is indeed somewhat general. Eve is also very aware of this, but still insists, we also have to fight. At least we must be able to assist by the side. Seeing the persistence in Eve's eyes, Tsubei stopped talking, just nodded and said, okay. 35 Eve showed a triumphant smile, and then said, Islander, burn your breath into the control system, so that you can control the battleship. 99 Tsubei put his hand on the magic pattern, and soon felt an inexplicable connection between himself and the battleship under his feet. It's a bit similar to his connection with the spirit of the island, but the effect is far worse. Tsubei glanced at the control magic pattern in front of him, and found an option to refresh the entry. After exorcising the demonic energy, the battleship was finally accepted by the system. Refresh. 99 The 3 alternative entries of white, green and purple are definitely the highest, primary intelligence, epic level, so that the battleship control system has primary intelligence and can issue commands remotely. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 39 Then, a translucent light ball appeared on the control magic pattern, and made a sound without emotion. Master, please give an order. 5 Eve was surprised. Spirit of an artifact? In the island world, there are artifacts, and they have their own thinking. So Eve would have this reaction. Tsubei thought for a while, and felt that the primary intelligence was a bit troublesome to explain, so he simply followed Eve's words and said, it can be understood that way. 95 Eve was even more surprised. The Stark race warship has the potential to become an artifact. Totally invisible. Tsubei looked at the primary intelligence of the battleship and felt the need to give it a name. By the way, as a battleship's name. And this is the island's first battleship, which is of historic significance. After thinking about it again and again, Tsubei decided to name the battleship Slain God, which can be regarded as his first mythical entry. Tsubei looked at the ball of light and said, in the future, the battleship will be called Shaishin, and you will be called Xiaosha. Okay. 35 Xiaosha. I'm here. 35 Tsubei nodded with satisfaction. This primary intelligence is quite clever. Then, Tsubei asked, how is the ship doing now? Xiaosha's surface flickered, and after a while, she replied, the self-test has been completed. 95 The power system is damaged and needs to be replaced with a new power stone. The keel structure is intact, and there are 3 gaps in the left armor plate that need to be repaired. The firepower system is intact. There are 2 medium-sized energy cannons, both of which are Earth type. There are 80 small energy cannons, and 40 each for fire and water. 99 Sube is very satisfied. Overall, the ship is still relatively well preserved. It was also because of his quick movements that he did not let those werewolves blow up the boat. Sube asked, what specifications are required for the power stone of the power system? 687 only has medium-sized power stones on the island. Xiaosha replied, medium-sized power stones are sufficient. 1 for each of the wind and water elements is required. This requirement can be fulfilled. The energy stone that was exchanged for the blood spirit fruit before has 5 attributes. Let the spirit of the island send a message to the forge. Soon, Gabriel came over with 2 power stones. Under the guidance of Xiaosha, the power stone was replaced. Gabriel looked at the broken old power stones and gestured, Islander, these 2 power stones can be decomposed into 6 small power stones. 5 Sube waved his hand, take it. Gabriel returned to the forge happily with the power stone. Sube excitedly looked at Xiaosha and gave the order, let's sail. The warship began to turn away from the temporarily opened port. Circle the island and sail at full speed. Yes, master. 35 Call me captain. Yes, captain. Standing on the deck, Sube felt quite comfortable. According to Xiaosha's report, the Shaishan can reach 32 knots at full speed. Equivalent to a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. It is a fast ship. At this time, Xiaosha issued a warning. Report to the captain, there is a life form approaching ahead. Sube looked into the distance and found that it was Carolyn, followed by 9 other seahorse chariots, a total of 30 mermaids. Carolyn approached quickly and shouted, Islander, be careful, the Dark Tide Murloc warship is approaching. Advertisement: if you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203 Naval Battle. Sube originally thought that the Dark-Tide Murloc would stop for a while after being hit by 4 gold levels. Didn't expect it to come so soon. And with warships. Sube asked Caroline and others to board the deck of the battleship and asked, how many ships and what specifications? 35 Carolyn quickly replied, there are 3 ships in total, all of which were converted from merchant ships, not official warships. Sube's heart immediately returned to his stomach. The Dark-Tide Murlocs obviously don't know the fate of the Boar's fleet, otherwise they would definitely not be foolish enough to bring merchant ships to deliver food. After thinking for a moment, Sube asked Carolyn, do you guys use energy cannons? Carolyn replied, it will be a little bit, but it can't do long-range high-precision artillery bombardment. Enough, Sube said, we went to intercept it, just as the first battle of the Killing God. Carolyn replied immediately, no problem. Now is not the time to investigate why the Dark-Tide Murloc warships came. Sinking the opponent is the primary task. And can't wait here just yet. Even if it was converted from a merchant ship, since it is called a warship, it must have naval guns. The spirit of the island is able to resist, but it consumes the life energy of plants. In the offshore battle, Sube suffers both horizontally and vertically. It's better to drive out the Killing God and let the Dark-Tide Murlocs know what a real battleship is. After determining the position of the Murloc warship, Sube asked Caroline and others to go to the cabin to stand by, and by the way, practice energy cannons on the road. Then he ordered Xiaosha, go ahead at full speed. Yes, Captain. The Killing God drew an elegant arc on the sea and galloped towards the north. Sube glanced out of the corner of his eye and found that Eve was still beside him, patted his forehead, forgot to put you down. Eve smiled and said, I'm also gold level, not so delicate. Sube thought about it, too. Before engaging with the Murloc warships, Sube took Eve to inspect the medium-sized energy cannons on the bow. The firing principle of this thing is similar to that of a small energy cannon. After studying for a while, Sube understood. However, in order to accurately bombard the distance on the undulating battleship, it requires anticipation and strong control capabilities. And Sube has both. Sube said excitedly, "I will watch my performance later, and see how I can bombard the small broken boat on the opposite side." 59 Okay, my lord Islander. Eve covered her mouth and chuckled. "Islander, you are acting like a child. That is to say, there will be a naval battle, otherwise Sube will have to let Eve know what is the majesty of the island owner. Boom. The energy cannon on the left began to bombard. This is Caroline and the others practicing. Shooting on a battleship and shooting on an island are two completely different concepts. 30 energy cannons fired in salvo, and the effect of shotguns was stun. But the mermaids adjust quickly. Come to the other side of the cabin, adjust the muzzle, and bombard again. This time it's going to be much better. Afterwards, among the 30 mermaids, the 10 with the best skills practice twice more to control the remaining 20 energy cannons. Not to mention 100 hits, at least in a salvo, it can cover and bombard the target area. Sube's hands were itchy, and he wanted to fire the bowgun. However, the charging time of the medium-sized energy cannon is very long, which takes about 5 minutes to complete. And on the sea in the distance, a dark shadow has already appeared. "Prepare for battle." Sube gave a quick command, "Stabilize the hull." Xiaosha responded immediately, "Yes, Captain." 35 The station began to slow down, while constantly fine-tuning. And Sube was controlling the bow energy gun and started to lock on the distant warship. After a while, the medium-sized energy cannon roared, and the manic energy bullets swept across the sea, hitting the far leftmost warship in a straight line. The Murloc warship collapsed in an instant. The special type of the Earth's energy cannon is that it is heavy, and the explosive energy will overwhelm everything around it. The merchant ship-based warship could not hold on at all, capsized on the spot, and exploded, turning into a torch floating on the sea. If possible, Sube would like to directly kill the opponent with 3 rounds. Too bad there is only one chance. The medium-sized energy cannon is too large, and it is already the limit that one can be placed on the bow of the ship. As for the energy cannon at the stern, unless the station was turned around, it would not be able to attack the opposite side. But then, it's time for the small energy cannon to show its power. Sube changed the order, full rudder on the left. Face the enemy with armor on the right. Yes, Captain. There are also 3 gaps in the left armor of the Shishin, which were punched out by Sube. In order to ensure the safety of Caroline and the others, they must face the other side. Fortunately, there are also 40 energy cannons on one side, and it is not difficult to sink the remaining 2 warships on the opposite side. The Shishin began to turn, and the speed increased to the maximum. Not long after leaving the place, the 2 warships on the opposite side shone with fire. The energy bomb exploded 100 meters away, stirring up a water column more than 10 meters high. In the cabin, Caroline and others activated the energy cannon after adjusting the muzzle. 30 energy cannons fired at the same time, and the scene was spectacular. The key is to be very dynamic. The hull of the killing god shook twice. The surrounding magic elements were evacuated in an instant, but they were immediately compensated. On the sea in the distance, the explosion sounded incessantly, the water column rose and fell one after another, and even set off huge waves, which almost overturned the 2 warships. 30 energy bullets, most of them failed. This is also a normal phenomenon. Even if Xiaosha stabilizes the hull, it is still impossible to walk on the ground. However, the quantity made up for the quality, and there were still several energy bullets that hit the opposing warship, blowing the Murlocs on the deck into pieces. In particular, the hit of the fire-type energy cannon made the warship burn. The high temperature made the dark-eyed Murlocs scream and jump into the sea, unable to control the warship at all. The remaining 10 energy cannons roared again. The hit rate is higher. The killing god circled around the opposite side. 2 minutes later, the energy cannon on the side roared again. There were 2 more flames on the sea. The corpse of the undertied Murloc floated and sank with the waves. The battle is over. There was no short-term confrontation throughout the whole process, but the danger was not low at all. Even a small energy cannon, A direct hit can pose a threat to a gold-level powerhouse like Eve. As for Caroline and others in the cabin, they definitely cannot afford serious injuries. This is still the case with armor blocking. Like the half-baked warship on the opposite side, the armor was directly smashed by the energy cannon, and the Dark-Tide Merlix behind were blasted to the sky. Return. Su-bei gave the order. He was too lazy to deal with the distant battlefield traces. Nothing fancy either. They were all bombarded by energy, and the materials that could be recovered were limited. However, the performance of the Shaishan also made Su-bei, Wang Qianzhao, initially realize the power of the Dark Race battleship. The point is that there are too many energy cannons. Dozens of doors were bombarded at the same time, and even Su-bei's scalp felt numb. Fortunately, it is extremely difficult to build a formal battleship. Not only must a large number of energy cannons be prepared, but also armor, power and control systems must be built. This is not something one or two people can do. On the way back, Su-bei couldn't help but think about a question. There are 3 gold-leveled dwarves on his island, and Eve, the master of magic pattern, already has the basic requirements for building a warship. As for the energy cannon, you can find Zhao on how to buy energy stones. There are also 3 other senior island owners. They haven't bought enough blood spirit fruit before, and they will chat with Su-bei from time to time to inquire about news. Su-bei's eyes brightened. It seemed he could try to build a fleet. However, this requires detailed planning. The development of the island is a top priority and must not be affected. While thinking, the island appeared in the field of vision, and everyone stood on the shore cheering and welcoming Su-bei's triumphal sausage. Advertisement Chapter 204 Gunnery Chief. After driving the Shishin to the temporary port, Su-bei jumped off the deck. The 3 of Gidon immediately surrounded them and asked eagerly, "Islander, is the battleship powerful?" 35 Su-bei replied, "It's not a question of whether it's serious or not, it's really rare, and a main gun can directly blow up a warship." "It's amazing," Gidon exclaimed, then rubbed his hands together and said, "Islander, although we use 2 medium-sized energy stones on our island, there are still 12 left, and it would be a waste of resources to place them all on the island." "That's right." Saul took the conversation, touched his beard, and said, "I think we need to open our minds. We can't stick to the island, and attacking is the best defense." Gabriel nodded again and again. "The 2 brothers are right, so how should we solve the problem?" 99 Seeing the 3 dwarves singing together, Su-bei almost laughed. "If you want to build a battleship, just say it. Why are you so twisted and twisted?" However, Su-bei also knew Gidon and their concerns. It took too long to build a battleship. But now, the crisis of the Dark-Tide Merlix is still there, and there is not so much time to build warships slowly. Su-bei had already planned and said, "When the crisis of the Dark-Tide Merlix is resolved, we will start to build new warships, which are also an important supplement to the defense system." The 3 Garten brothers nodded quickly, and then took their apprentices to check the battleship. The holes in the armor need to be patched ASAP. At the same time, the internal structure should be further modified. However, how to change it will have to wait for the configuration of the crew to be determined. Let Yvette 687 take Carolyn and other mermaids to rest in the artificial lake first. Su-bei finds Du Ling and asks how many magic energy crystals recovered before. Du Ling did not live up to her expectations and brought good news to Su-bei. "Island owner, those werewolves, together with the previous Dark-Tide Merlix, the total number of magic energy crystals recovered exceeds 1,000. Du Ling went on to report, "In addition, Lord Helena personally took out the magic crystal from the platinum-level werewolf's heart." Su-bei's eyes suddenly lit up. The magic crystal of the platinum-level werewolf can definitely make Su-bei rush directly to the silver level. Su-bei hurriedly asked, "Where is that magic energy crystal?" Du Ling's expression was a little subtle, and she said, "Lord Helena took it over. She said she wanted to dispense medicine, so you can come later." 6695 Su-bei looked up at the sky, was silent for a moment, and asked, "What about the magical crystals of those gold-level werewolves?" Du Ling didn't answer, but the expression already explained everything. All with Helena. Fortunately, Du Ling took out a crystal of demonic energy from her pocket and said, "Islander, this is what I secretly hid." 99 Su Bei was very moved, patted Du Ling on the shoulder, and sighed. "You are still carrying." Du Ling replied seriously, "Island Master, you are my everything." Cough, cough. Yvette's cough sounded beside, bhcf. Du Ling let out a coquettish cry and ran away with her blushing face covered. Su Bei held the magic energy crystal and began to absorb it, and asked indifferently, "Caroline and the others have already settled down?" Yvette gave a thumbs up and said, "As expected of the island owner, you are not surprised." Yvette went on to report, "It has been arranged, but the area of the lake needs to be expanded. The specific plan has to be decided by the island owner." Su Bei absorbed the magic energy crystal in his hand, thought for a moment, and said, "I have already given instructions to the Earth Spirit, and it is estimated that it will be completed soon." "Thank you, Island Master." Yvette's expression was a little tangled, and she gathered up her courage to say, "Islander, can you build a pool for me in my new home? I want to know more about you." The new home that Yvette was talking about was the blueprint that Zhuan Menyu took out that day, and Tu Ling had already made time to build it. However, when the design company gave the plan, it obviously did not take the mermaid into consideration. Although Yvette can walk on land, the water is their destination. Resting on land is a bit difficult for her. Su Bei knew Yvette's intentions, thought about it, and said, "You can directly ask Tu Ling after you have chosen the place." Yvette said with joy, "Thank you, Island Master." Su Bei reached out and touched Yvette's head and said, "Let's go. Go to the lake. I have something to ask Caroline and the others." Yvette hummed in obedience. Then, the two went to the lake. After Caroline and the others rested, they were in good shape. Even Gedon came from a distance. They will serve as spectators, witnessing Caroline and their oath of allegiance. The process of taking the oath is simple and quick, but it has far-reaching significance and cannot be violated. Caroline and the others will live on the island from now on, defending Su Bei's glory with their lives. The ceremony ends, and even Gedon retired. They have a bunch of work waiting to be done, and they really can't hang out. Although there is no fixed entry, Su Bei can feel the softness in the eyes of these mermaids. Caroline. Su Bei sat down on a stone by the lake and said, "Following my arrangement for you, just like Yvette and the others, you can tame the turtles to assist in the battle, and you don't need to join the battle directly." 99 This tactic is actually used by the mermaid family. It's just that the marine life they tame is more diverse. Such as dolphins. This is also related to the main activity area of the mermaid. But Su Bei is the owner of the island, focusing on the island. We can only let the mermaid tame the turtles more, taking both land and sea into consideration. After a moment of hesitation, Caroline said, "Islander, I hope to join the killing god." 5 Caroline continued, "I have a certain amount of confidence in energy cannon shots." Su Bei asked about it and learned that in the previous naval battle, Caroline fired 2 shots at the Murloc warship, all of which were directly hit and achieved great results. In addition to this, there are 9 other mermaids whose hit rate is also quite impressive, and they also want to board the ship with Caroline. Su Bei is willing to respect the choice of the members of the island, but the risk is very high for the battleship to attack. If you stay on the island, you have the protection of the spirit of the island. At least you don't have to worry about being hit by energy cannons. Caroline said, "The island owner doesn't need to worry, since we choose to fight, we are mentally prepared." "Okay." Su Bei nodded. "Here, I have appointed Caroline as the artillery commander of the Shishin, to manage the gunner unit, and you will be responsible for other gunners to board the ship in the future." Caroline saluted respectfully, "As ordered, sir." Su Bei looked at the other 20 mermaids and found that they seemed to have something to say, smiled and said, "There are not so many rules on my side, just say what you think." "Thank you for your understanding." A mermaid stepped forward as a representative. "Islander, my name is Celine, and we also want to go out with the killer god." After speaking, Celine added a little embarrassedly, "But our artillery skills are average, and we can't take on the heavy responsibility of gunners." Su Bei said, "This problem is easy to solve. You bring the seahorse chariot and intercept the enemy around the Shishin. The regular fleet must be composed of several warships, and there are also a large number of frigates. But now there is only one warship on the island, so we can only let Celine and the others take care of the fish that slipped through the net. Celine and other mermaids saluted. Yes. 35 Speaking of this, Sube was suddenly curious. As a platinum-class werewolf, why did Cheek only bring one battleship? What about his fleet? In fact, this question, it touches Sube thinks wrong. There is no fleet under Cheek, but the strength is there, and there is a battleship for him to drive. He was actually going to take over as a frontline commander. As a result, I met Sube on the way, and then was cut over, which is also very embarrassing to say. Sube quickly put this matter aside, let Carolyn and others rest well, and then began to think about a question. Does he want to go to Helena's place to test the medicine? To go, or to go? Advertisement Chapter 205 Storm Potions. After a night of penance, Sube successfully absorbed the potion and raised his level to silver high. Helena has also benefited a lot, making steady progress towards the top of gold. Eve took a wait-and-see attitude, preparing to wait for Helena to upgrade before using the potion. They all have a bright future, only Sube is leaning against the wall. Sube was half lying on the sofa listening to Juan Menaiu reporting on the progress of various work on the island. Islander, the small energy cannons in the forge will be completed tomorrow, a total of 14, and 6 more will be completed the day after tomorrow. Sube nodded. The news was okay. It is about to fight with the Dark-Tide Merlix. The more energy cannons, the better. Too bad we couldn't make it today. Juan Menaiu continued. According to Master Gideon's calculation, the casting of the medium-sized energy cannon will take 6 days, and it is only 1. It's a bit slow, but it's also a no-brainer. The casting of medium-sized energy cannons is very difficult. 3 gold-level dwarves are in battle at the same time, and it takes 7 days to complete one. Fortunately, there are 2 ready-made doors on the Killing God. If it doesn't work, take it apart and use it first. With the war potential of the Dark-Tide Merlix, there should not be a scene where the main guns of the battleship are bombarded. Sube closed his eyes and rested, and tapped his finger to indicate that he understood. Juan Menaiu flipped through the documents in her hand and continued. Your Excellency, Lulu reported that he has contacted new mercenary survivors, some of whom want to join us. 5 Sube replied, tell Lulu, as long as the merman is willing to swear loyalty, then there is no problem. Okay. Juan Menaiu agreed, marked it on the document, and then turned to the next page. Zheng Wen reported that 2 women surnamed Zhao came to Blue Star Company, saying that they were here to find you, the island owner. Puff. Sube almost choked to death on his saliva, subconsciously said, isn't it one? Juan Menaiu returned with a resentful look. Sube waved his hand and said, don't get me wrong, this is Zhao Xuanhao's request, and he provided the meteorite iron for casting the medium-sized energy cannon. 35 So that's the case. Juan Menaiu was stunned and analyzed. I think that Zhao Island Master saw your potential and wanted to get closer to you. Juan Menaiu paused and said seriously, Island Master, although you are strong, you should also pay attention to your body. 35 Sube said angrily, it's not Helena yet. She has researched some magic potion that she doesn't know about, and it can explode several times of strength in a short period of time, and I was almost knocked flying. Speaking of this, Sube is also quite self-inflicted. He fixed the recipe comprehension entry for Helena, but he did not expect that he was the first to experience the effect. But the spit is the spit. Helena's new potion is really powerful. According to her, she has reached the best silver grade, and if she continues to modify the formula, she can fully reach the gold grade. That is a potion with several times stronger effects than the explosive potion, and the key is that the side effects are minimal. With Sube's physical attributes, it can be ignored directly. He is looking forward to the final product. When fighting Cheek before, if he had a bottle in his hand, he would definitely be able to hack Cheek to death within 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes. Juan Menaiu nodded and said, no wonder the alchemy room was so lovely last night. Sube blushed and decided not to discuss this matter, continue talking about the company. The two women can be assigned to idle positions, and it can be regarded as an explanation for the owner of the island. By the way, the plantation in Zying, is it working? Juan Menaiu flipped through the document for a moment, found the corresponding information, and reported, the seeding has been completed, but the environment of Blue Star is not comparable to this. I am afraid it will take a few months. Tsubei, it doesn't matter, what the plantation produces is only auxiliary materials, so buy them from other places first, so as not to affect the production. Juan Menaiu, understood, I will explain it immediately. Tsubei then asked, how long until the encirclement of the dark-tide Merlix? Juan Menaiu took out the timer from her arms and said, according to the data provided by Caroline and the others, it is expected that the first batch of dark-tide Merlix will be encountered in 4 hours and 35 minutes. Tsubei sat up straight from the sofa, opened his eyes, and suddenly a cold light appeared, but it disappeared quickly. It's time to move the muscles. Before the battle started, Tsubei patrolled the island. On a new day, we must continue to refresh the entries. After brushing out the second epic entry for the mist tree yesterday, the effect is manifested today. 4 new mist banshees take shape in the rising sun. And the original 10 fog banshees, the breath is also more solid. The fog tree continuously produces fog, accelerating the level of the fog banshee. The mist banshees floated over to say hello, and Tsubei responded one by one. Then came to the blood spirit fruit tree and chose to refresh. White green blue. Adhering to the principle of not being fixed at the epic level, let go of it decisively, and come back tomorrow. Then, Tsubei looked at Storm Strawberry next to him. This special plant was obtained from Richard. At that time, he only used a few dark underworld fruits to get it back. It was really a bloody profit. Recently, that kid Richard shouted in the chat area every day that he was cheated and tried to make Tsubei return the Storm Strawberry to him through verbal pressure. He also pretended to say double the dark fruit. On the spot, he was sprayed into autism by the island owners of Longo. Tsubei didn't even bother to pay attention to him. Just thinking about when they will meet the island owner of the lighthouse country again, and let them taste the power of the killing god. Collecting his thoughts, Tsubei looked at Storm Strawberry. It was already matured 2 days ago, but I didn't get a good second entry, and Tsubei didn't pick it either. Refresh. Slap. The purple entry light ball popped out. Tsubei looked at the blood spirit fruit tree next to him, wondering if his luck had been sucked away. Ask for flowers. The mist tree and Storm Strawberry next to it, as well as the magic field on the ground, have written epic entries, but the blood spirit fruit tree has remained silent. Outrageous. Tsubei gathered his thoughts and looked at the purple entry. Special effect enhancement, epic level, so that the Storm Strawberry has the effect of awakening the B-level wind power, and further strengthens the cutting effect, and the item level is upgraded to the lower platinum level. Then there is nothing to say, just fix it directly. Afterwards, Tsubei called Shui Ling, plucked the Storm Strawberries, and took them to the alchemy room. Helena was all packed and in high spirits. After seeing Tsubei, he covered his mouth and chuckled, Island Master, what is the effect of the brute force secret medicine? Tsubei's eyes twitched. This is simply a pot that cannot be opened without lifting. However, Tsubei has experienced strong winds and waves, and said calmly, the effect is good, and I look forward to the final product. I'm here this time because there is something I want you to deal with. 55. With that said, Tsubei asked Shui Ling to bring Storm Strawberry to Helena. Helena picked up one and placed it in her palm to observe, and found that the Storm Strawberry in front of her was completely different from what she knew. The grade has reached the platinum level. Storm Strawberry is a silver level special plant, and alpine elves are also grown, but they are only eaten as fruits. Occasionally there are also gold grades. But there are very few, and only the gold inferior. The result is now the Storm Strawberry that pops directly out of platinum. Where's this mutation? It is a miracle of life. Helena stared at Tsubei and said, Islander, I found that you can strengthen that mysterious power twice, so give me one too. Tsubei pouted, I would, but the time has not come. 99. This is the truth. Tsubei refreshes the entries for the members of the island every day, but even if it is not epic, he also has a headache. The second entry written by Helena has only the highest level of excellence, and has no fixed value. After hearing Sube say this, Helena no longer struggled. She believed in Sube. Helena found a container to collect the storm strawberries, and asked, "Is it necessary to make a potion? I can do it in 4 hours. 99. Sube nodded. I'll leave this to you. No problem. Helena returned to the alchemy room with the storm strawberry and began to prepare it on the spot. Various materials are sorted and finally poured into crucibles. 4 hours later, Sube received Helena's notification on time, and immediately took Juan Menayu to the alchemy room. The potion had been sealed, and Sube took a bottle and put it in his hand. Storm potion, platinum low grade, special potion for wind-type power users. After use, the power of the power is greatly increased, and the effect lasts for 3 days. Dry. Advertisement. Chapter 206 arrived at the encirclement of Darktide Merlix. Fight. Helena picked up a bottle of storm potion and explained the precautions to Juan Menayu. The potion of the storm is relatively strong, so there will be energy leakage, so don't be nervous. Secondly, although the storm potion only lasts for 3 days, it will take the same amount of time to consolidate the foundation, so you can only use 1 bottle every 6 days. Don't make a mistake, otherwise you vomit blood, and the island owner has to come to me to settle accounts. After Helena finished speaking, she handed the storm potion to Juan Menayu. Drink it. Juan Menayu took the potion and drank it. The effect of the platinum low-grade potion appeared in an instant, and Juan Menayu's power fluctuations more than doubled. There is a breeze in the alchemy room, and the intensity continues to increase. Helena snapped her fingers, and the magic barrier enveloped Juan Menayu. Fortunately, the transparency is high, and you can see the scene inside. Even through the magic barrier, Sube could sense that Juan Menayu's rank had broken through to the lower rank of bronze in a very short period of time. This speed is faster than many island owners. And the effect of the storm potion is not over yet. The duration of 3 days will probably make Juan Menayu's level rise by another level. 690. When the next bottle of storm potion is absorbed, it is also hopeful to hit the advanced bronze level. Sube looked surprised and said, "The effect of the storm potion is so strong." Helena lowered her head to record the data, and replied, "As a matter of course, this is natural. After all, it is a potion of low-grade platinum. In other words, this thing belongs to high-end resources in our elves, so you actually use it like this." Helena said casually, "From the perspective of maximizing profits, it is better to exchange storm potions for supplies." Sube nodded. "That's true, but it's not necessary. It's just a platinum-grade storm strawberry, and it will be remanufactured soon." In fact, Sube did the same. He has contacted Shen Kingaling to buy a new batch of storm strawberry seedlings. And it has been planted in the magic field and is growing well. It's just that the current alternative entries are very general, and they can only be refreshed in the future. You are the island owner, you have the final say. Helena didn't bother about this issue, and continued, "The potion formula for the blood spirit fruit has been initially revealed, and it is predicted that it will increase the lifespan by an additional 10 years, but it can only be used once." Hearing this, Sube was shocked. As expected of a potion master, as expected of recipe comprehension, after the two are superimposed, the effect is beyond his imagination. The blood spirit potion and the blood spirit fruit obviously do not conflict. Although they can only be used once, their life expectancy will be increased by 10 years. The effect is already equivalent to the least effective 3 blood spirit fruits. Sube immediately thought of Zhao Xuanhao. The island master will definitely be interested and willing to pay a high price. Sube immediately ordered, "I still have 3 blood spirit fruits, just tell me if you need it, and make sure the recipe is completed." Helena nodded, "I know." While speaking, Juan Menayu's energy fluctuations recovered smoothly, and her level also stopped at the lower level of bronze. And Sube also knew what Helena meant by energy leakage. Juan Menayu's clothes became countless pieces the size of fingernails. The whirlwind floating around her has a super cutting effect. Fortunately, This time has calmed down. Helena snapped her fingers, cancelled the magic barrier, nodded and said, as expected. Juan Menayu's pretty face flushed, and she took the code that Avina brought. Sube said helplessly, you know the result, so don't remind me. Helena blinked her eyes and said strangely, I said it. You recall what I said just now? Sube thought for a while, but was speechless. But these are all minor details, it doesn't matter. Juan Menayu's promotion to the bronze level is a good thing. And the power of the power continues to increase. It's just that the cheerful atmosphere is quickly broken. The spirit of the island appeared and said quickly, Master, a large number of enemies are approaching. Sube immediately became serious. It seems to be close to the encirclement of the Dark-Tide Merlix. A little earlier than expected. Ready to fight. Sube issued an order, which was passed on to all combatants. Everyone who was already ready to go immediately arrived at the designated place and took their place. The power user and the merman dived to the underwater bastion, while Carolyn and others boarded the Killing God, waiting for Sube to arrive. Sube, in the process of advancing, gave Xiaosha a remote order, leave the port. Yes, Captain. 35. It is about to reach the encirclement of the Dark-Tide Merlix, and there will be thousands of Dark-Tide Merlix to face. The Killing God must participate in the battle to reduce the pressure on the island. This battle will be very stressful. Boom. The dull shelling sounded. The artillery positions high on the island began to attack. At this time, the Shishin had left the port, and Sube rushed over from the sea, stood on the deck, and saw the scene in the distance. The sea has turned completely black. But in the sky, there is a blazing sun, and the wind is sunny. The black of the ocean is the countless Dark-Tide Merlix. Sube immediately adjusted the bow main gun and bombarded the sea in the distance. The heavy energy bomb hit the sea, instantly covering an area of 100 meters. The Dark-Tide Merlix who were affected by it died on the spot without saying a word. The sea there also briefly revealed its original blue color. But it didn't take long for the new Dark-Tide Merlix to fill up, and the sea returned to black again. Full left rudder, full speed, keep your distance. Sube gave Xiaosha an order. When the Killing God came over, immediately notify Carolyn and the others to fire. On one side of the station, there are 40 energy cannons. Although there are 30 mermaids in the cabin, 20 of them are about to go into battle with the Seahorse Chariot, and only 10 energy cannons can bombard them at the same time. But this is just right. It can maintain the rhythm of the shelling and keep the barrage. In an instant, 10 energy cannons bombarded at the same time, shattering hundreds of Dark-Tide Merlix. Another round of salvos followed. After 3 shellings, the vanguard of the Dark-Tide Merlix was scattered. Celine and the others also seized the opportunity to control the Seahorse Chariot to escape from the Killing God and gallop on the sea. Their chariots were temporarily remodeled, with more storage space and filled with mines. The Seahorse Chariot moved rapidly and kept dropping mines. With the density of the Dark-Tide Merlix, there is no need to worry about triggering problems. A dull explosion came from under the water, and light flashed by. The mines were constantly being fired. When the chariot was emptied, the Seahorse Chariot immediately returned to the island port, replenished the mines, and then rushed out again. The Killing God is killing the quartet, and the pressure on the island is also great. A large number of Dark-Tide Merlix sneaked close. The underwater bastion begins to attack. Harpoons and mine shrapnel flew everywhere, tearing the body of the Dark-Tide Merlix apart. However, the number of Dark-Tide Merlix in the field of vision has never decreased at all. The battle reached a white-hot stage in an instant. On the sea and under the water, the roar of the Undertide Merlix is everywhere. The main gun of the Station roared again, sending the Dark-Tide Merlix ready to land into the sky. With a single shot, at least thousands of Dark-Tide Merlix have become flesh. But the follow-up Dark-Tide Merlix are still rushing forward. They don't know fear at all. Fortunately, the combat intensity was as expected, and the gold-level powerhouses such as Helena had not yet made their full effort. They roamed the island to support the battle. Just when the battle situation was extremely anxious, a team of mermaids rushed out from the deep sea. There were about 500 people. They commanded a large number of marine creatures and rushed into the lineup of the Dark-Tide Merlix from the flanks, causing huge casualties in an instant. The dark-tide Murlocs were all beaten up. Immediately, he was furious and divided half of his troops to besiege them. The pressure on the island was suddenly relieved a lot. After the emergency repair, the people on the island returned to the battle. And Sube also drove the killing god to support the mermaid army. But it seemed he was overthinking it. 2.5 These mermaids have rich fighting experience, cooperate tacitly, and bring a large number of marine creatures. Sube was a little puzzled. The mermaid is so fierce. As for asking him for help, then Sube knew why. Deep in the dark-tide Murloc camp, a strange whimper sounded from somewhere, hoarse and unpleasant. The mermaid who went to battle was in pain, her fishtail swayed wildly, and she almost fainted. And the marine creatures they brought were even worse. Direct mutiny. The eyes became scarlet, and he launched a frantic attack on the surrounding things. If the mermaid hadn't withdrawn fast enough, it would have lost at least a third. However, the chaotic sea creatures also blocked the pursuit of the dark-tide Murlocs. After all, these guys are now the real six parents who do not recognize them, and they will beat up whoever they catch. Even the dark-tide Murlocs can't do anything about it. Taking this opportunity, the mermaids supported each other to retreat. Sube also evacuated from the current sea area. He found that the fight was more difficult than expected. Must chat with these mermaids to get more information. Advertisement Chapter 207, The Cursed Poseidon Horn. After retreating for more than 10 nautical miles, the mermaids stopped after confirming that the dark-tide Murlocs were not chasing after them. Sube also slowed the island and Shashin. The wild run just now had exhausted the spirit of the island. The mermaids rested on the sea, and 5 of them approached the island as representatives, applying for a detailed talk with Sube. Let the Shashin return to the port to repair and replenish supplies. Sube took Yvette and others on the beach and waited for the mermaid to approach. The 5 mermaids all had gold-level strength. However, their attitude is very polite, and they are not arrogant because of their high rank. Want to come also know Sube's past record. Your Excellency Sube, I've heard your name for a long time. The mermaid-headed was gorgeous, and with a bit of heroism, stepped forward to say hello. I'm Teresa, the deputy commander of the Mermaid Patrol, and these are my colleagues. Sube bowed his hands, long back, long back. After a few words of greeting, Sube asked the doubts in his heart, what happened to the sound just now? Your formation was directly disrupted. The situation was good originally, but because of that sound, the mermaid was defeated directly. Teresa explained, according to our investigation, it was determined that it was the cursed horn of the sea god, and the sound it made could disturb our minds. Dark-tide Murlocs didn't exist before, and they only got 17 recently, and then they planned this offensive. Our main force has retreated to the underwater city, and can only be protected from influence under the protection of the Queen's magic. But because of this, the Queen is also restricted and cannot leave at will. Speaking of which, Sube understood. No wonder the Mermaid Queen was willing to send mermaids to ask him for help. It turned out that the horn was responsible for it. However, Sube had new doubts and asked, what is the origin of that sea god horn? Haven't you found a way to crack it? Besides, it doesn't seem to have any effect on me. Teresa replied, the horn of the sea god is the property of the sea god and can rule the ocean. That's why it has a particularly great impact on us. And your excellency is a human from another world, so it won't be affected. Sube understood, and at the same time was secretly surprised. Good guy, such a big deal. But if it is really the horn of the sea god, then the mermaid should have surrendered directly. There is no reason to persist until now. Sube speculated that the horn was damaged and could not exert its full power. After all, according to Sube's information, after the initial battle of gods, the whereabouts of the sea god is unknown, and there is no movement. This is the case with the sea god. His horn was not directly blown up, and he was considered lucky. Collecting his thoughts, Sube said, so the Mermaid Queen wants me to destroy that horn? Teresa nodded, slightly embarrassed. She also knew that this requirement was a bit excessive. After all, the cursed Poseidon's horn is protected by hundreds of thousands of dark-tide Murlocs. Sube thought about it for a while, and said truthfully, although I have some strength, I am afraid that the chances of doing this are very slim. Teresa was impressed by Subei. When most people hear this, their first reaction is to turn around and leave. And this excellency, he also carefully calculated the success rate, and he really came to help. Teresa tucked her hair close to her ears and said, "Have you noticed a problem just now? Carolyn and the others have not been affected on your battleship." Subei recalled the details and snorted. It really is. Teresa explained, "Carolyn and the others swore their loyalty to you, which is recognized by the will of the island world, and they are now under your protection, which can basically block the negative effects of the Horn of the Curse." Subei did not expect that the Oath of Allegiance would have such a hidden effect. Then, he thought of one thing and asked, "This matter is probably only confirmed just now, you were just guessing before and could not confirm it?" Teresa nodded and admitted, "Your Excellency is wise." Subei continued, "So the next plan is for you to form a strong team, join my command, and then go to attack the Dark-Tide Murloc defense circle and destroy the Horn of Curse." Teresa's expression was determined. "Yes, besides us, there are other people waiting for the opportunity." Hiss. Subei had a toothache. "These mermaids are clearly going to die. Even if they can be protected from the erosion of the cursed horn, it will not change the numerical disadvantage. Hundreds of thousands of Dark-Tide Murlocs were waiting there, not to mention the hundreds of mermaids. Even if they were 10 times more, it would not be enough to fight. Not to mention the Dark-Tide Murloc powerhouse hidden in the dark. Platinum is definitely there, no doubt about it. As for the higher diamond grades, Subei looked at Teresa and asked, "What is the highest rank of Dark-Tide Murlocs?" Teresa hesitated. "According to the previous investigation, it is the top platinum." Subei wanted to say that there is no need to guess. There must be a diamond-level powerhouse. Just seeing Teresa's look, Subei knew, and so did these mermaids. But they still want to carry out their plan, already putting personal life and death aside. The only purpose is to destroy the cursed horn and fight for the future for the tribe. Subei waved his hand. "I wouldn't agree with this tactic," Teresa said anxiously. "I also ask your excellency to fulfill, the future of my clan depends on this battle." 35 Subei sneered twice and said, "In such an important battle, why didn't your empress do anything? Just let you guys go all out." Teresa looked sullen and seemed to want to defend the majesty of the queen. Fortunately, a vet stood up in time and persuaded, "The island owner calms down. For our family, guarding the queen is our mission, please understand." 99 Then he looked at Teresa and the others and saluted, "Lord Teresa, the island owner can't bear to see you sacrifice." The atmosphere eased a bit. Teresa spoke first and said, "Your kindness, I know, please forgive me for the rudeness just now." Subei waved his hand, "Commander Teresa is serious, and there is something wrong with me." After thinking for a while, Subei said, "You guys should go to the island to rest first. We have to retreat a certain distance, and then make a long-term plan." After a pause, Subei continued, "I have a plan, but the plan needs to be perfected." "What is the level of the strongest person you are hiding in ambush?" Teresa replied, "There are 3 platinum seniors in total. 35 with this kind of strength. If you charge with all your strength, there is a small probability that you will be able to rush to the Horn of the Curse. The mermaid's predicament can be improved as long as the horn can be destroyed in battle. But this is only a theoretical situation. Subei is not optimistic. There must be a diamond-level Dark-Tide Murloc next to the Horn of the Curse, which can intercept this mermaid army. But not without a chance. Fixing high-quality double entries for the 3 platinum-level mermaids will certainly greatly enhance the combat power. Even it can kill diamond-level Dark-Tide Murlocs. But this plan, Subei can't tell Teresa and others now. Just say, "If you believe me, then call those 3 strong men over." 35 Teresa hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "Okay, I'll contact you now." 99 Subsequently, Subei controlled the island and continued to retreat. 2 hours later, Teresa returned again, along with 3 platinum-level mermaids. Advertisement Chapter 208 Double Epic Entries. The source of water is chilling. Angry waves. 208 pairs of epic entries. The source of water is killing. Angry waves. 3 platinum-level mermaids are the commanders of the patrol. The structure of the mermaid patrol is more complex, and there is no clear affiliation. Basically, platinum-level powerhouses will be named. But it doesn't necessarily work. When the 3 mermaids just landed on the island, the first thing they sensed was the aura of the werewolf Cheek Soul. The look in Subei's eyes was a little different. There are only 5 gold rank on this island, and none of them are professional combatants. How to kill a platinum werewolf? Even if it's only platinum lower, it's still platinum. After thinking about it, the 3 strong mermaids came to an unbelievable conclusion. It was done by this human island master in front of him. Yvette whispered a few words in Subei's ear, and Subei suddenly realized that he asked Tulane to take Cheek's head and said in his hand, "There is no need to doubt the 3, this werewolf was killed by me." The 3 platinum-level mermaids bowed and saluted. "Your Excellency's strength is admirable." 35 They confirmed that Subei's level was only high-level silver, but he could kill a platinum-level werewolf. The deep meaning in this makes the 3 mermaid commanders ponder. Thinking of the Queen's secret order, the 3 platinum powerhouses became more and more certain. In this Dark-Tide Murloc crisis, the way to break the game lies in Subei's hands. Teresa introduced 3 people in turn, namely Winnie, Elaine, and Amelia. Judging from their faces, these 3 platinum powerhouses are almost equivalent to 27 or 8-year-old human beings. Noble and elegant, calm and dignified, and with a mature charm. Subei bowed his hands and said, "Everyone, please come with me, we need to discuss the follow-up operations in detail." 5 The 3 of Winnie, together with Teresa and other gold-level powerhouses, followed Subei to the conference room. Other mermaids are already resting in the artificial lake. The previous horn sound had a certain impact on them, and Helena was preparing a healing medicine. Everyone sat down in the conference room, and the 3 of Winnie first said, "Thank you for your kindness." Subei replied, "You're welcome. The Dark-Tide Murlocs are rioting. I can't stay out of it. The only way is to join hands to fight the enemy." After the scene was finished, Subei said, "I don't quite agree with your plan. There must be diamond-level powerhouses near Sigurd's Horn. Even if it's not Dark-Tide Murlocs, there will be other dark race powerhouses." Winnie nodded. "Your Excellency's thoughts coincide with ours." 35 Subei didn't want to worry too much about this issue. He gave Yvette a wink, and Yvette stepped forward, condensing a water polo in his hand. Subei asked, "As the 3 platinum-level powerhouses, can you perceive the difference in Yvette?" 35 Winnie nodded and said truthfully, "Before we landed, we discovered something unusual about this island, and there was a mysterious power flowing." Yvette lifted the water polo and said, "This is the unique ability of the island owner, not only me, but also other island members." Winnie pondered for a moment, understood Subei's thoughts, and said, "Your Excellency intends to give us this kind of power?" 5 Subei nodded, "That's right." The reason why Subei admitted so happily was that he had roughly guessed the secret order of the Mermaid Queen. The 3 powerhouses Winnie, together with Teresa's 500 mermaids, were actually given to him. Can't quite say that either. If you really want to look carefully, these mermaids are abandoned children. They are death squads. They were chosen to carry out a raid plan with the aim of destroying the Horn of the Damned. In Subei, similar to Tillman positioning. The mermaids swore allegiance to him, obtained protection, and then prepared to attack the Dark-Tide Murloc defense circle. These mermaids, when they left the territory, were already mentally prepared. Even if they knew Subei's secret, they wouldn't have any idea. Because it doesn't matter. You can even put your own life aside. Nothing can affect them. Subei admires their mentality of sacrificing for the clan, but will not let them fight blindly. Since these mermaids no longer belong to the Queen, they belong to him. How can it be damaged in the defense circle of the Dark-Tide Murlocs? Concentrating his mind, Subei said directly, "I will make you have stronger combat power, but it will take time. You must wait before you are ready, and you cannot act at will. This is an order." The 3 of Winnie immediately stood up and saluted. "Yes." Subei nodded secretly. Sure enough, he received the Queen's secret order, so professional. But after Winnie sat down, she hesitated for a moment and asked, What if it takes too long to prepare? Tsubei smiled and said, "It won't be long." In Tsubei's field of vision, around Winnie, there were 3 light balls of entry, one of which was epic. Original water chilling, epic level, triples the attack power of water skills. Winnie's eyes moved and she asked, "What do you mean?" Tsubei nodded, "Yes, as you guessed, get ready and you will gain new powers." 5 fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The target loyalty is constant at 100. Winnie's entry is somewhat similar to Yvette's blessing of water, but it is also different. The source of water chilling is completely biased towards attack, while the protection of water is more comprehensive. It's not over yet. Tsubei immediately refreshed the second entry for Winnie. Another epic. Sensible. Tsubei praised the system in his heart and looked at the entry. Raging waves, epic, doubles the damage and range of water skills, fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The target loyalty is constant at 100! After Winnie fixed the entry for the first time, before she had time to appreciate the difference, she felt a new power emerging again. Her magic power began to boil, and in just a few breaths, it was directly promoted to the top of platinum. The magic wave burst out, wreaking havoc in the conference room, and then breaking through the doors and windows, escaping to the surrounding. Fortunately, the spirit of the island covered the atmosphere of the entire island in time, otherwise it would have attracted the attention of the dark-tide Murlocs. After a while, Winnie's magic fluctuations gradually subsided. Elaine and Milia, next to Wang Nuos, were dumbfounded. What it means. Simply divine. As for the gold-level powerhouses like Teresa, they were so shocked that they couldn't close their mouths. They suddenly realized that the Queen still underestimated the potential of this human island owner. He is not only the key to cracking the dark-tide Murloc crisis, but also the hope of completely defeating the dark race. Winnie looked at Tsubei with devotion. Tsubei felt the adoring gaze of the mermaid present, and it was a little dark. Luck is really impossible to say. To write 2 epic entries for Winnie in a row, this is something Tsubei didn't expect. Tsubei concluded, "The time advantage is on our side, and then we will continue to contain the dark-tide Murlocs while waiting for the opportunity to destroy the Horn of the Curse." Yes, 35. Everyone got up and responded with high spirits. Winnie's change made the mermaid present see the hope of victory. Advertisement. Chapter 209. News from Shenkingaling. The doors and windows of the conference room were blasted, and everyone could only change places to continue chatting. After sitting down, Winnie said, "If Your Excellency needs to use your abilities again, remember to tell us in advance so that we can be prepared." Tsubei nodded. "It was a little mistake just now." Winnie smiled and said, "Small mistakes made me to the top of platinum. If it was a big mistake, wouldn't it be directly promoted to diamond?" 39. Tsubei thought about it. If Winnie's 2 entries were of a higher grade, it might be possible. And Winnie was stunned when she saw Tsubei's thoughtful expression. "Does it actually work?" Elaine and Milia asked expectantly. "Your Excellency, when will it be our turn?" "It will take a while," Tsubei said. "The luck of these 2 commanders will be worse, and the highest level is only the excellent entry. In the case that you do not need to rely on fixed entries to lock in loyalty, naturally you are not in a hurry to fix it, and refresh it tomorrow." Elaine and Milia also understood. Indeed, such means certainly cannot be used continuously. Now that you have seen the hope of victory, you can wait with peace of mind. At this stage, although there is pressure on the mermaid side, but because of retreating to one place, they are all under the protection of the Queen, and the defense line is more reliable, so there is no need to worry for the time being. Thinking of this, the mermaids present put down their shoulders a little. Fatigue also came to mind. Tsubei swept his gaze and saw that mermaid 690, including Winnie, was not in a good state. Knowing that they had been fighting very hard recently, he decided to let them rest first. Winnie and the others retired. Tsubei sat silently on the sofa for a while, then got up to patrol the island. Condolences to the wounded. The previous battle, although short, was exaggerated in intensity. They did not deliberately recover the corpses of the dark-tide Murlocs, but still piled up hills on the beach. That's not counting those who were bombed by the killing god. The battle that lasted for half an hour killed about 5,000 dark-tide Murlocs. But here comes the problem. According to Su-Bei's calculations, the number of dark-tide Murlocs is far more than 300, exclamation mark. There are two possibilities. One is that the mermaid's probe data is not accurate enough. Another possibility is that the mermaid did not probe wrong at the time. However, the undertide Murlocs are growing faster than expected. If it is the second possibility, then the problem is very difficult. But Su-Bei saw an opportunity. An opportunity for him to quickly hit the gold level. There are many dark-tide Murlocs, so there are many crystals of magic energy. In the next battle, we can't fully count on Winnie and the others. Winnie, Elaine and Milia, they all started out as Platinum Seniors. Two epic entries have lifted Winnie to the top of Platinum. At the same time, it has the combat power of its peers. The damage of her water skills has increased to a very exaggerated level. But fighting against a Diamond level powerhouse might be a little tricky. And on the Dark-tide Murlocs, there must be Platinum level ones, and there are quite a few. In the follow-up, even if Elaine and Milia are promoted to the top Platinum, it will be difficult to destroy the Seagid Horn. They can only kill those Platinum Dark-tide Murlocs. However, the envisaged Diamond level powerhouse is somewhat difficult to handle. The number disadvantage is really deadly. So, in the battle to destroy the horn, Su-Bei must also be involved. If you want to fight against the Diamond level, the minimum is to advance to the gold level. There are now two quick upgrade paths. On the one hand, it uses the magic medicine prepared by Helena, and on the other hand, it directly absorbs the magic energy crystals. The superposition of the two phases can definitely be promoted to the gold level in the fastest time. At that time, if you bring the explosive potion configured by Helena, you will definitely be able to decide the outcome of the battle and smash the cursed Seagid Horn. At that time, the Mermaid Queen can free up her hands to quell the Dark-tide Murloc ride. Su-Bei's eyes brightened. This battle has a head start. Plus, he has a bold idea. The cursed Seagid Horn, if the demonic energy on it can be purified, can it be recovered and used for oneself? That is the equipment of the sea god. Even if it is damaged, its power is far beyond ordinary. Yes, just do it. Su-Bei makes a plan. Then he started to contact Shen Qingling and continued to buy equipment. After completing the transaction, Shen Qingling asked, "Have you arrived at the encirclement of Dark-tide Murlocs?" Su-Bei, the news is very good. Why? There are other forces involved. Shen Qingling, BHCF, it's not certain yet, but there are rumors that there are island owners from other forces waiting for the opportunity to act. Su-Bei, is it from the Lighthouse country? Shen Qingling, the possibility is very high. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for the information you provided. 35 Shen Qingling, remember you said earlier that the Lighthouse country is going to transport people to the island world. We investigated and found that the number of missing cases over there has surged recently. After checking it carefully, we found clues about the Dark-tide Murlocs. Su-Bei, hey, those people really don't change their minds. I haven't looked for them for a while, but they even jumped out on their own. I will pay attention to this matter. Shen Qingling, you pay attention to safety. 99 After closing the chat bar, Su-Bei came to the artificial lake. The earth spirit is still expanding the lake, and the mermaids such as Winnie are resting. Su-Bei didn't let them come, and walked directly on the water, walked up to Winnie, and asked, "You haven't found any other island owners nearby recently?" Winnie thought for a while and said, "Before the Dark-tide Murloc riots, there was a similar report, but I didn't pay attention to it later." "Is it the enemy?" Su-Bei replied, "It's not certain yet, but it's very likely." Hearing this, Winnie's expression suddenly became serious, and she called Teresa and others over to inquire about the situation. After statistical comparison, Su-Bei initially confirmed the location and scale of the three islands. Calculated from the area, they are all trainee island owners this year. Two of them are relatively far away, and it will take 2 or 3 days to get there, so I can only let them go. The last one is about 10 hours away. And the location is very good. You can reach it by walking in circles along the encirclement of the dark-tide Merlix. Tsubei thought for a moment, then said, "Let's kill it directly, it's not very safe here. The search force of the dark-tide Merlix is estimated to be coming soon, and continue to prepare in another place." Winnie and the others have no opinion on Tsubei's decision. Tsubei decisively gave orders to start the island. Sailing time must not be wasted. Just as the corpse of the dark-tide Murloc was finished, a large number of magic crystals were collected. Tsubei absorbs all. It's a pity that the grade of these magic energy crystals is not high. The energy they can provide is limited, and it is almost meaningless to upgrade. With a determined mind, Tsubei finds Helena. Helena just finished the second-generation formula of the brute force elixir, drank it decisively, and began to fight with Tsubei. As she said, the final effect of the brute force elixir can reach the gold level. The second-generation formula already has the effect of golden low grade, but it can still be improved. It's just that Tsubei is even more stressed. The basic attributes of the elves themselves are high, and Helena is still a high-level gold, plus the blessing of the brute force secret medicine. After a variety of factors are superimposed, Tsubei feels that it is more difficult than fighting Cheek. In the end, however, he prevailed. And absorbed the efficacy, and smoothly upgraded to the top level of silver. At this time, the sky was bright, and the outline of the island appeared on the sea in the distance. There are also the dark-tide Merlix that follow the waves. Advertisement: if you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210: The Island Lord of the Lighthouse Country. I will kill him. After 10 hours of sailing, the island arrived at the location that the mermaid said, confirming the location of the island. At the same time, the incoming dark-tide Merlix were also found. The instructions to prepare for the battle spread all over the island, and the members of the island were busy and took their place. Tsubei also confirmed that the island owner is indeed cooperating with the dark-tide fish people. These people are so daring. Tsubei couldn't help muttering. Helena yawned and said, "If you want to survive, after all, their island can't move, and if you don't want to be slaughtered by the dark-tide Merlix, you can only cooperate with them." Tsubei nodded, and after getting dressed, he ran on the sea and boarded the killing god. The battle begins. The first destroyer was still the energy cannon. After the overnight work of the forge, the new 14 energy cannons have been completed. In addition, there are 6 small power stones that have been recut, and they are also in the process of casting. Now, there are already 24 energy cannons on the island, which can maintain a fairly intensive firepower output. Divided into 3 attack waves, each time is a salvo of 8 energy cannons, causing a devastating blow to the dark-tide Merlix under the sea. As long as it is hit, there is no complete body left at all. After Tsubei adjusted the main gun of the killer god, he fired one shot, clearing a large blank area again. The station is traversing. Maintain the barrage of shelling. The Seahorse Chariot team is dispatched. A series of orders are issued. The station began to exert its maximum firepower, frantically slaughtering the dark-tide Merlix. Caroline and the others hated these dark-tide Merlix so much that they fought mercilessly. I can't wait to put the barrel of the gun directly in the mouth of the opposite side. The dark-tide Merlix attacked rapidly. In addition to trying to land on the killing god, more of them headed towards the island. There is a rich breath of life there, making them coveted. But this time, the dark-tide Merlix suffered a head-on blow. On the island now, there are 3 platinum-level powerhouses sitting in the town, and 5 new gold-level and 500 silver-level mermaids are added at the same time. Tsubei was secretly proud of his strength. The dark-tide Merlix were obviously not well informed and did not know the existence of these mermaids. They rushed to the island excitedly, and then turned into pieces all over the ground. Winnie controlled the magic power fluctuations, and after releasing several skills, she was shocked beyond measure. She got 2 entries yesterday, but didn't dare to try. After all, The magic power fluctuations of platinum-level powerhouses are too obvious. If it attracts the powerhouse of the Dark Tide Merlix, it is very dangerous. After one night's time and a preliminary understanding, Winnie dared to try a small amount. Then I discovered that my skills were powerful, beyond imagination. Elaine and Miria were very envious. The current Winnie only output 30% of the magic power, but the power has been equal to before. If you attack with all your strength, you can easily kill a powerhouse of the same level in seconds. Winnie looked at her hands and couldn't believe it. She knew she was strong, but she didn't expect to be so strong. After the initial envy, Elaine and Milia immediately became excited and said, "With this kind of power, we will definitely be able to destroy the Cursed Horn and completely quell the Dark Tide Murloc rebellion." "That's right." Winnie nodded, very pleased. Although the three powerhouses wanted to control the fluctuations of magic power and could not use their full strength, they still relieved the pressure on the island a lot. In particular, they stimulated the waves around the island, which greatly hindered the offensive of the Dark Tide Merlix. The Dark Tide Merlix were tossing in the waves, and their figure could not be stabilized, let alone tagging. It's just that the three of Winnie also knew that what they killed here were only low-level Dark Tide Merlix, not even the main force. The real battle is still very difficult. But at least they saw hope, and that was the most important thing. On the Killing God, Sue-Bei leads the overall situation. By the way, I opened the chat area and glanced at it. Unsurprisingly, one of the island's owners was spitting on Sue-Bei. Said he blatantly broke the rules and attacked his island. As for the Dark Tide Merlix, of course they didn't mention it. Sue-Bei looked at the name of the island owner and found that it was indeed from the Lighthouse Country. The island owner in the chat area posted some photos and videos. The shooting angle is very tricky, and there is no trace of the Dark Tide Merlix. There is only the huge island that is constantly approaching on the sea, and the energy cannon that keeps roaring. The island owner of the Lighthouse Country couldn't sit still and jumped out to lash out at Sue-Bei. After the last Lin incident, the Lighthouse Nation, after careful investigation, determined that the moving island was Sue-Bei''s. This time, as soon as the island owner of the Lighthouse Country on the opposite side saw an island approaching, he calculated the area and immediately determined that it was Sue-Bei. He knew why Sue-Bei came, but he certainly couldn't admit it. Take a bite first. The younger brothers of the Lighthouse Country responded one after another. This is a good opportunity to show loyalty. The island owner of Longo is doing his best to maintain Sue-Bei, and the two sides interacted in the chat area, which was very lively. Sue-Bei didn't pay much attention to it, and only sent a sentence. Dragon Kingdom Sue-Bei, the island owner of the Lighthouse Country, colluded with the Dark People. I will kill him! After he finished speaking, he directly closed the chat area, adjusted the main gun of the Shaishan, and fired a shot at the distant island. Boom! In an instant, the land collapsed, and the violent torrent of energy destroyed everything in a radius of hundreds of meters. Sue-Bei didn't realize that in the chat area, the island owner of the Lighthouse Country was completely silent. Seeking flowers, that shot took him away too, and there were no bones left. The power of the medium-sized energy cannon was so powerful that the island owner couldn't react at all, and he didn't even have time to teleport back to Blue Star. However, Sue-Bei soon discovered that on the opposite island, the teleportation light continued to light up. He didn't care either, he just thought the other party ran away with a bucket. He didn't expect to be shot to death by him. The battle continues. However, the Dark Tide Merlix here are only a small group of troops, and the number is limited. After paying more than 3,000 casualties, Sparsely began to flee. But before these Dark Tide Merlix escaped far, they were wiped out by the chasing mermaids. Sue-Bei let the Killing God continue to patrol the sea on guard, while he returned to the island to find Winnie and the others. Sue-Bei asked, "The battle here is not small. Why did the Dark Tide Merlix not come to support? 0 Winnie replied, "Dark Tide Merlix don't dare to mobilize large troops at will. They are worried that the Queen will choose to break through." Sue-Bei thought about it for a while, and it was indeed the truth. The Dark Tide Merlix finally blocked the mermaids, and naturally they would not let them go. The underwater space is three-dimensional, In order to maintain the strength of the encirclement, the dark-tide Murlocs are also very difficult. It is impossible to send all troops to besiege Subei. With such a big gap, the Mermaid Queen will not be indifferent. If the mermaid concentrates on breaking through the siege, the dark-tide Murloc's efforts so far will be in vain. After figuring this out, Subei suddenly found a new opportunity. The current dark-tide Murlocs, of course, blocked the mermaids around the palace, but correspondingly, they also restricted themselves. Subei is fully mobile, attacking around the undertide Murloc encirclement. While waiting for Elaine and Milia's entries to refresh, reduce the number of dark-tide Murlocs. Killing two birds with one stone is perfect. With this in mind, Subei asked everyone to clear the battlefield and at the same time let the spirit of the island move the island, merging and absorbing the opposite island. The overall area of the island is only about 2 square kilometers, and it can be absorbed in half an hour. When the two islands came into contact, Subei boarded the opposite island and saw a horrific scene. At least hundreds of ordinary people were swallowed by the dark-tide Murlocs, and the broken limbs were everywhere. They may never have dreamed that the new life they were looking forward to did not bring, but instead came to the island to become the ration of the dark race. Subei's heart was burning with anger. Lord of the Lighthouse Country, damn it. Taking a lot of photos and sending them to the chat area, Subei issued a declaration at the same time. Dragon Kingdom Subei, in the future, when I encounter the island of the Lighthouse Kingdom, I will destroy it. Go. Advertisement Chapter 211 The second entry of the Spirit of the Island, the fortress that never falls. Subei was not interested in paying attention to the sensational chaos in the chat area. The photos he took were enough to give the Lighthouse Country a headache for a while. But Subei just got it right. Half an hour later, the Spirit of the Island reported that she had integrated all the new islands. Ling began to transfer related plants. Subei issued a new order to make the Spirit of the Island rotate around the circle of dark-tide Murlocs, and at the same time shorten the distance. The Killing God was dispatched to bombard the dark-tide Murlocs from a distance. However, if you want to attack the underwater Murloc encirclement, you can only rely on the water-based energy cannon. After a simple adjustment, the 40 water-type energy cannons were moved to the same side and bombarded continuously. The dark-tide Murlocs were beaten and screamed. At one point, he even wanted to send a large army to besiege him. If hundreds of thousands of dark-tide Murlocs attacked at the same time, then Subei would definitely not be able to resist. Fortunately, the mermaid family is also very sensible, and seeing the dark-tide Murlocs want to mobilize on a large scale, they immediately made a breakthrough. The dark-tide Murlocs who rushed halfway could only turn back and reinforce the encirclement. Subei all laughed. The dark-tide Murlocs really got themselves into it. Then maintain the speed and continue to kill the dark-tide Murlocs. During this period, the dark-tide Murlocs also blew the horn twice, but after finding that it had no effect on Subei, he never used it again. However, the large troop could not be mobilized, and the small group of dark-tide Murlocs never stopped attacking. The power user and the shark met in the underwater bastion and fought very fiercely. The mine and harpoon storage was rapidly depleted, and Subei asked Shen Qingling to replenish the goods several times. According to Shen Qingling, the special team has started several production lines to help Subei produce mines and harpoons. That's enough. The money spent in this battle is immeasurable. Even if there are recovered dark-tide Murloc corpses, some of them can't block the gap. In this regard, Subei is also helpless. But he had no plans to retreat. There is a saying that taking people's money to eliminate disasters for others, and receiving the benefits of the Mermaid Queen, you have to do things. Subei is very disciplined. The more than 500 mermaids on the island, plus the powerhouses like Winnie, cannot be estimated by money. In addition, the dark-tide Murlocs that were killed also brought a lot of magic crystals, and Subei's level is constantly advancing towards the gold level. After the situation stabilized, Subei found Irina and Miria and refreshed their entries. All luck is good, and the first epic entry has been swiped. Elaine is a strong traction, and Miria is soft to overcome. Powerful traction, epic level, triple the control effect of water skills. Kagang with softness, epic level, Increase the defense of water skills by 3 times. It can be seen that the entries of the 3 platinum powerhouses tend to have a clear division of labor. Attack, defense, control, all-round development, and improvement are all obvious. They fight together and can completely compete with the diamond level powerhouse. It's just that the second entry of the 2 is almost meaningless, the grade is not enough, and they can only be refreshed again tomorrow. Tsubei is not in a hurry either. Elaine and Millia's second entry must be at least epic, otherwise the plan must not be rashly executed. His level also needs to continue to improve. Feel free to wait. Anyway, the Dark-Tide Merlix have a hard time dealing with the current stalemate without additional reinforcements. Unless they can break through the magic barrier of the Mermaid Queen, they can only be continuously bombarded by the Killing God while maintaining the encirclement. In this matter, the Dark-Tide Merlix have been trying. But so far no success. The Mermaid Queen is too strong, and the magical barrier she maintains is impregnable. To tell the truth, if it wasn't for the protection of the tens of thousands of people under her command, the Queen would have destroyed the Dark-Tide Merlix long ago. But the Horn of the Curse was there, and as soon as the Queen left, the remaining mermaids would instantly fall into madness and kill each other. At that time, even if the Mermaid Queen destroyed the Dark-Tide Merlix, it would still be a blood loss. Fortunately, there was the Killing God, which attracted the attention of the Dark-Tide Merlix and shared the pressure of the Queen. That magic barrier can last for a long time. Anyway, it is consumption, see which side can't hold it first. The Shaishin was cruising on the sea, and the roar of the energy cannon continued one after another. Dark-Tide Merlix were even blasted with new scales. They actively shed their scales and then grow back. The new scales are fluffy and have a good cushioning effect on energy shocks. The killing effect of energy cannons has been reduced a bit. But the basic power is there, unless it is a Dark-Tide Merlock reaching the silver level. It will still die in one shot. These are innocuous little things that don't affect the bigger picture. After setting up his defenses, Tsubei began to refresh around the island. Feel free to give the spirit of the island a brush. This little guy is a fusion of the Flower of Luck, but Tsubei doesn't feel it at all. The second entry that was swiped before is very weak. But today is clearly the time. A bright orange light filled Tsubei's field of vision. Legendary entry, Fortress that will never fall. Legendary, improve the attributes of allies within a certain range of the island and its surroundings, while weakening the attributes of enemies. Fixed. 39 Ding, the entry has been fixed. 35 Feeling the extra blessing provided by the spirit of the island, Tsubei couldn't stop smiling. The most important thing is that this bonus can be enjoyed not only on the island, but also in the surrounding waters. Although it can only cover the outlying island area of about 1,000 meters at this stage. However, according to the feedback from the spirit of the island, as long as the island continues to develop, the scope will increase. This has the advantage in battle. Dark-Tide Merlix who try to sneak attack underwater will give it directly. Even a Black Iron level ability user can instantly kill a Bronze level Dark-Tide Merlock. Combat is easier. And the spirit of the island also brought another news. The spirit of the island danced happily and said, "Master, I can now sail at a faster speed, and the consumption remains the same." This was a real surprise. In order not to damage the plants, the speed of the island could only be maintained at 5 nautical miles. But now, breaking through 10 nautical miles easily. The advantages of high-speed movement, Tsubei is all too clear. Immediately accelerate the spirit of the island. Afterwards, Tsubei continued to patrol the island, and he also created several new epic entries. But they were all plants. There are first entries for new plants and second entries for old plants. Generally, it is mainly to increase production. The only thing that makes Tsubei mutter, 2.5 is the Blood Spirit Fruit Tree. This guy seems to want to hold back a big move. Now there are not even excellent entries, and a bunch of white and green entries are swiped. Tsubei was dumbfounded. As for the combatants, there are no new epic entries, which is a pity. Fortunately, the first entries of Elaine and Milia have been fixed at the epic level, which is not a loss. After a day's circling and continuous shelling, tens of thousands of Dark-Tide Merlix were smashed to pieces. But the gap was soon filled by new Undertide Merlix. It was getting late, and Sube came to Helena as usual after a day of patrolling and refreshing. The formula of the brute force secret medicine has been revised to the 3rd generation, and the grade has reached the golden middle grade, and the effect is more and more powerful. But Sube is strong in the face of strength and fights hard. His hard work paid off. Bathed in the morning sun, Sube was promoted to gold! Advertisement Chapter 212 Everything is ready to raid. The promotion of Sube has boosted the confidence of the members of the island. Since the spirit of the island obtained the legendary entry, Fortress That Never Falls, the battle last night was simply relaxing and enjoyable. Dark-Tide Murlocs have been trying to sneak attack to find the weak point of the underwater bastion. Then got killed overnight. As long as they are close to the island, their attributes will be weakened. The members of the island are strengthened. Under this situation, the Dark-Tide Murlocs tasted the taste of failure. Even the powerhouses of the Dark race who were hiding in the dark were a little surprised at what happened, and how suddenly the island became unshakable. The Dark-Tide Murlocs thought hard and couldn't figure it out. While Sube was promoted to the gold level, and his strength increased several times. Even Winnie, who has a double epic entry, the Platinum Top Mermaid Commander, admits frankly that she is no match for Sube. After getting used to the power, Sube called for Elaine and Myria. Intuition tells him that today is the time to solve the Dark-Tide Murloc crisis. Refresh. 2 epic entries popped up. Elaine's entry is Imprisonment Water Prison, and Myria's is Mass Shield. 17 The Imprisoned Water Prison, epic level, get the Imprisoned Water Prison skill, restrict the movement of the target group shield, epic, get group shield skills, apply defensive shield to surrounding allies. Both entries are skill entries. The overall improvement is not large, but it is particularly effective for helping the battle. In particular, the group shield, combined with the soft and strong entry, can effectively reduce the casualties of one's own side. Next, go to impact the Dark-Tide Murloc encirclement, and have a greater grasp. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The target loyalty is constant at 135. Like Winnie, Elaine and Myria were promoted to the Platinum top tier after securing their 2nd epic entry. And their actual combat power should be on par with ordinary Diamond subordinates. However, according to the descriptions of Winnie and the others, the Diamond level powerhouse has many methods, and it is not so easy to solve it. Still act cautiously. Islander, thank you for your gift. Elaine and Myria bowed and saluted to express their gratitude. Sube waved his hand and said, "Don't thank me, it's your luck." Afterwards, Sube convened the members and started a combat meeting. The content of the meeting is very simple, which is to conduct pre-war mobilization and clarify the combat objectives. There is only one combat objective. Head straight to the Murloc encirclement and smash the cursed horn of the sea god. Sube first determined the basic form of combat. The island and the station attacked, approaching the encirclement of the Dark-Tide Murlocs, attracting the other party's reserve troops. Sube looked solemn and looked at everyone. This battle will be fiercer than ever before, and there may be casualties, but the crisis of the Dark-Tide Murlocs must be resolved. Otherwise, even if we move to the ends of the earth, we will not escape disaster in the end. The members of the island shouted wildly, "The bloody battle to the end." Very good. Sube nodded and continued, "We start to act, and the Mermaid Queen will definitely respond, which can contain the remaining Dark-Tide Murlocs as much as possible. When the situation is completely opened, I, Winnie, Elaine, and Myria will form an assault force and go straight to the Horn of Curse. 35 Ready to fight. As ordered." On the island, everyone got busy and went to the reserved location. Sube and Winnie went to the alchemy room. Helena has already prepared the final product of the brute force elixir, which has reached the top level of gold, and especially prepared for Sube. After all, in the assault force, he was the only one who was a pure physics department. As for Winnie and the others, they used explosives. It is also specially made by Helena, and there are only 3 bottles in total. In other words, There is only one chance. Failure to break through the interception and smashing horn before the end of the outbreak can be quite bad. Everyone's heart was heavy. From the Dark-Tide Murloc riot to the present, it has been almost 10 days. After countless preparations, it finally came to the last moment. The will of the island world also seemed to feel something, and even issued a notice to Subei. Please note that the regional quest has been opened. Please purify the Horn of the Sea God and repel the Dark Tribe's offensive. Please note that the regional quest has been opened. Please purify the Horn of the Sea God and repel the Dark Tribe's offensive. Please note that the regional quest has been opened. Please purify the Horn of the Sea God and repel the Dark Tribe's offensive. 3 consecutive announcements sounded in his ears, but Subei's expression was neither happy nor sad. So far, there is only fighting. The spirit of the island flew over to report the situation. Master, you are about to meet the enemy. Subei nodded, looked at the 3 of Winnie, and said, hide your breath, let's go to the killing god. Without any hesitation, the 3 of Winnie replied firmly, yes. 39 The energy cannons at the heights of the island began to roar, and the explosions continued one after another. The water column rose into the sky, mixed with fragments of the Dark-Tide Murlocs. The ocean gradually changed from black to dark green. The breath of death enveloped the sea. The 4 of Subei headed straight for the killing god and then drove out of the port. The main gun roared, and the Shaishan officially joined the battle. Soon, the Dark-Tide Murlocs sensed that something was wrong. The island that had only been bombarded in circles in the distance before, even rushed over. The powerhouse of the Dark-Tide Murlocs roared and sent more combat troops to besiege them. That hateful human. Do you really think they can handle it at will? Even if the main force is to surround the Mermaid City, the remaining reserve troops can completely bury him. Tens of thousands of Dark-Tide Murlocs rushed towards the island. In this battle, only 693 underwater is the main battlefield. Fortunately, the mermaids led by Teresa joined them. They spread out within the range of the fortress's effect, and cooperated with the underwater bastion to start a counterattack. At the same time, the Shaishan on the water also aimed underwater, and 40 water-based energy cannons fired salvos, tearing apart all the creatures on the trajectory. Due to the cursed horn, in this battle, there was no marine life on Subei's side. Mermaids swore allegiance to him and could obtain shelter. But marine life is different. Simply put, they are not very smart. Even Eleanor's turtle team was kept dozens of nautical miles away to prevent them from going mad. The combat intensity is raised to the highest stage from the very beginning. At this time, the real distance to reach the Dark-Tide Murloc encirclement is still 10 nautical miles away. Even if the island accelerates, it will take half an hour to arrive. In the face of such a large number of Dark-Tide Murlocs, the killing god can only float in the vicinity, not daring to dash at will. Only with the help of the shelter of the fortress can the hull not be blown up. Just like this, Subei and the others would have to wait at least half an hour if they wanted to make a move. In the cabin, although the 3 of Winnie were all sitting, they clenched their fists and wished to go out and fight side by side with their companions. Subei stood still on the bow, his eyes calm. His words were conveyed by Xiaosha on his behalf and floated in the cabin. Only 2 words. Wait. Advertisement. Chapter 213 Discover the Horn of the Curse. Diamond-level tidal giants. In the underwater city in the rock formations under the sea when Subei and the Dark-Tide Murlocs go to war. The Mermaid Queen slowly opened her eyes. There was a faint trace of exhaustion in his eyes. But more, it is high fighting spirit. Here we go. The Queen murmured in a low voice, then called the guards and ordered, inform all the clansmen. The time for the decisive battle has come. The guards didn't ask any further questions, but left quickly to convey the order. Soon, the mermaid city became noisy, and tens of thousands of mermaids appeared from every corner. Their eyes were bright and determined. Even outside the city, there is a 3-dimensional encirclement composed of hundreds of thousands of Dark-Tide Murlocs, and they are not afraid. It is their mission to fight against the dark race. The Queen's orders they will faithfully carry out. The horn sounded in the Mermaid City. However, this is not a curse horn, and naturally it will not be caused by confusion. Taking a step back, They don't have to worry about the Queen's magical barrier and the horn of curse blowing through the sky. But all mermaids know that the Queen has been under unimaginable pressure to protect them. Now, it's time to liquidate everything and drive the dark-tide merlix back to the deep sea. The changes of the mermaid are naturally unable to escape the surveillance of the dark-tide merlix. In contrast, horns and war drums also sounded in the dark-tide merlock formation. The two sides approached rapidly and eventually collided. The sound of fighting resounded throughout the sea. The battle between the mermaid and the dark-tide merlix revolves around the buffer area. The Queen's magic barrier and the sound of the cursing horn cancel each other out here. Further out, the mermaid will be affected by the cursed horn, lose its combat power, and even go mad. And further in, the dark-tide merlix will be crushed and wiped out by the magic power of the Queen. But the buffer area is limited, which makes the battle extraordinarily cruel, which can be called a meat grinder. Life is lost in the deep sea. In the cabin of the killer god, the three of Winnie wept silently. They felt the passing of their clansmen, and they were numerous. But soon, Winnie and the others adjusted their mentality, and there seemed to be flames burning in their eyes. The horn of the curse, this time, be sure to smash it. On the deck, Subei turned the main gun and bombarded the sea again. Hundreds of dark-tide merlix turned into flesh mud and dissolved into the ocean. Subei was keenly aware that the encirclement of the dark-tide merlix had changed. With a clear mind, the Mermaid Queen also began to act. But there were still 20 minutes before they arrived at the scheduled location. Subei still had to wait patiently. The battle situation on the island is relatively stable. Thanks to the blessing of Fortress That Never Falls, all the combatants can play more than double their strength. The dark-tide merlix are suppressed to the maximum extent. Even the gold-level dark-tide merlix who wanted to sneak attack would be instantly killed by Teresa and the others, without the ability to fight back. Like the kind of gold inferior, after being weakened, even Yvette couldn't beat it. As for the black iron bronze level, it has completely become cannon fodder. Every second, hundreds of dark-tide merlix were killed, turned into pieces, and sank into the deep sea. Time passed slowly. After the seventh roar of the main guns of the Shishin, the three of Winnie boarded the deck. Subei unfastened the dragon yin sword from his waist and simply said, "Come back alive, this is an order. See as you command, my lord." 99 Follow me. After he finished speaking, Subei jumped off the deck, and the gust of wind broke out of his hands, slicing the sea. At the same time, the corpse of the dark-tide merlock was also chopped up. Afterwards, the three of Winnie also jumped into the sea. On the island, Helena's voice echoed in everyone's ears. The island owner has begun to charge, attacking with all his strength, attracting firepower. 35 Yes. In an instant, the dark-tide merlix near the island were all beaten up. Did this group of people take the wrong medicine? And it won't kill you. In the icy water, Subei's body was like a sharp arrow, rushing straight towards the deep sea. He has locked the position of the horn of the curse. Behind Subei, the three of Winnie swung their fishtails and moved forward at full speed. Subei's speed was so fast that they had to go all out to keep up. There are constantly dark-tide merlix attacking from around. They were all killed by Subei with gale slash. After breaking through the three-layer interception, the platinum-level dark-tide merlock appeared. And there are as many as 10 humans, mermaids. You can't get through here. The platinum-top dark-tide merlix, headed by them, roared angrily and rushed forward with other strong men. Subei said quickly, "Leave it to me." Winnie and the others have unique magic power fluctuations. If they make a move now, they will definitely arouse the vigilance of diamond-level powerhouses. After being promoted to the gold level, Subei would have no more pressure to fight against the platinum-level powerhouse. The Longian sword slashed, and the heavenly martial demon slayer was already out of hand. He needs to attract attention. The swift and violent brilliance flashed by in the dim sea area, and the splendid Tanwai unreservedly vented. The 10 platinum-level dark-tide merlix were so frightened that their scales almost flew. Damn it, demon slayer! And so fierce. The fastest rushing platinum top-level dark-tide merlock, his body dodged urgently in the sea, and avoided the attack area of Danwu Demon Slayer. And his companions behind him did not have such good luck. 6 were hacked to death in an instant. The other 3 were also seriously injured. Although it was a little out of place, the 3 of Winnie couldn't help but feel surprised. Is the strength of the island owner too fierce? It is completely two concepts from the previous silver rank. According to Event, the island owner spent half an hour hacking down the platinum inferior werewolf when he was at the intermediate level of silver. How could this just be promoted to the gold lower level? And he hacked to death 6 platinum level Darktide Murlocs with one knife, and seriously injured the other 3. Outrageous. Wind, slash. With a twist of his wrist, Subei killed 3 seriously injured Darktide Murlocs. Then rushed towards the platinum top Darktide Murloc. The stigmata slashed twice, blowing it into pieces. The huge fish head sank to the bottom of the sea. Go, 95. Subei didn't have time to recover the corpse of the platinum Murloc, and moved on with the 3 of Winnie. The death of 10 platinum level Darktide Murlocs is extremely deterrent. Subei took Wang Nuazao and Winnie and the others down for more than 100 meters, but they did not encounter any decent resistance. It's just that the terrifying roar from the darkness made the Darktide Murlocs strike again. Fortunately, at this time, Subei had already seen the cursed horn of the sea god. How to say? Some beyond his expectations. The size of this thing is huge. On the rocks on the seabed, the overall shape is a horn, but it is magnified many times. More than 20 meters in length. At the end, is a burly and tall tidal giant. Name, Morton, Magic Tide Giant Level, Diamond Lower Skills, 1, Breaking Wave Slam 2, Siren Shell 3, Giant Wave Surge 4, Deep Sea Roar 5, Giant Strength. Description: this is a deadly threatening enemy, please be careful. Subei's heart sank. It is a diamond level magic tidal giant. Then came the problem. Where are the diamond level Darktide Murlocs? Advertisement Chapter 214 The King of Darktide Murlocs. There is a saying what to say. In the shadows, a Darktide Murloc slowly swam out and looked at Subei and the others, as if they were looking at a corpse. Name, Eugene, King of Darktide Murlocs. Level, Diamond. Intermediate Skills, 1, Water Repelling 2, Flexible 3, Curse of Weakness. Description: the mastermind of the Darktide Murloc riot, killing him will end this catastrophe. Subei stretched out his hand and blessed Long Yan Dao with the sharp blade of divine light. Fighting against a powerhouse of this level, without the buffer of the divine light blade, the Dragon Yin sword might break directly. To be honest, Subei guessed that the Darktide Murlocs will have diamond level powerhouses. But I didn't expect that it would turn out to be a diamond intermediate. And he is the king of Darktide Murlocs. This Eugene's breath was not even the least bit stronger than Morton S. Without the slightest hesitation, Subei gulped the brute force secret and rushed towards Eugene. You, deal with tidal giants. As ordered. The 3 of Winnie responded loudly and drank the explosive potion at the same time. The battle broke out instantly. The surging energy even knocked back the surrounding waters. Eugene, the king of the Darktide Murlocs, looked solemn, waved his hand, and the water condensed into a giant shark, charging towards Subei. He could feel the strength of this human being on the opposite side. The level is only the gold lower level, but the basic strength of 697 is very impressive. And after drinking the potion, he improved again, and even made him feel threatened. The most important thing is that this human being in front of him is a demon slayer. Extra damage bonus to their dark race. If it is cut, I am afraid the consequences are not very optimistic. Eugene immediately decided to keep his distance. He felt that the hard scales he was proud of might not be able to resist the slashing from the opposite side. And Subei's idea is very simple. Close the distance and hack the opposite side. The giant shark formed by the water was split by Subei. The impact of the feedback from the Long Yan blade made his expression a little dignified. Eugene, the king of Darktide Murlocs, is really strong. Wind, slash. The air blade flew out, smashing the giant water shark next to it. Subei's body was rushing in the sea, and under the brilliance of the dragon's Yin Dao, Danwu Demon Slayer was ready to go. Eugene raised his hand one after another, condensing a full 7 shields, and then felt unsafe, and condensed a water barrier around himself. He just saw that the 10 platinum level powerhouses under his command were cut off like melons and vegetables. Naturally it will not be taken lightly. A series of action knots, BHCF, came to an end, and Subei's knife light also arrived. Boom. 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 The 7 water current shields exploded in an instant, and the sword light cast off the force, slashing hard on the water current barrier. Eugene almost lost his soul. To be so outrageous. Is this still gold? Fortunately, the final water barrier resisted the Tanwu demon slayer slash. Although there were cracks all over it, it still blocked it. Just before Eugene could counterattack, Subei exerted his strength again, adjusted his posture and kicked both feet on the barrier. With the first foot, the barrier burst. On the second foot, Eugene flew out, spraying blood, and plowed a deep ditch on the rock formation on the seabed. Next to them, Morton and Winnie, who were playing in full swing, subconsciously slowed down their attacks. Originally thought that their side would come out first, but Eugene flew out first. Winnie raised her hands to be hit by several streams of water, and at the same time shouted, "End the battle early," to help the island owner. 99 good. 35 Elaine and Miri agreed immediately, and they restrained their minds and attacked with all their might. Elaine found the opportunity and hit Morton precisely in the imprisoned water prison. This huge tidal giant, nearly 10 meters tall, was instantly immobile. He tried his best to break free, but there was no effect except that the scales were rubbed red by the water prison. Winnie rushed forward immediately and launched a fierce attack. Morton's eyes flashed bloodthirsty, and even if he was fixed, he still released the smashing waves. "Mermaid, you are dead." Morton laughed wildly. The slamming of the breaking waves is not something that a small body like a mermaid can resist. But Morton's triumph was obviously a little too early. Miria raised her hand, and the group shield quietly unfolded. The current shield floated around Winnie, colliding with the energy of the slamming wave, canceling each other out. Morton was stunned. What kind of defensive skill is this, so powerful? Just when he was stunned, Winnie's attack had already arrived. Blood splashes. Morton's Kraken shell has unparalleled defensive power, which is the basis for him to be able to disdain the attacks of powerhouses at the same level. However, under the attack of Winnie, the top platinum, dense cracks appeared. Morton was stunned. This mermaid is so powerful. Is she a descendant of the Mermaid Queen? But haven't heard any news about it. Under the severe pain, Morton actually exerted 120% of his strength and broke free from the prison with brute force. However, Winnie and the 3 were not discouraged, and joined forces to attack again, suppressing Morton. On the other hand, after Subei kicked Eugene, he didn't stop. His body was like a cannonball and he swung dozens of times in an instant. Eugene adjusted his posture and recondensed the water shield for defense. Then he was easily chopped off by Subei and kicked out again. Eugene's body soared high, bringing out a series of bubbles in the seawater. Along the way, 2 mouthfuls of blood were sprayed. Subei chased again, while estimating the time. The battle can be ended before the effect of the drug ends. However, continuous onslaught is needed, and the king of the Dark-Tide Merlix on the opposite side cannot be relieved. Thinking of this, Subei hurried forward and inflicted heavy damage on Eugene. The Longian knife left deep scars that could be seen on the body of the Dark-Tide Murloc king, almost cutting off his arm. Damn! Eugene let out a roar, and his magic power exploded, slowing Subei's speed and finding a chance to breathe. Then, with a mad face, all kinds of water skills came out, submerging Subei. But in the next second, Subei put on a lot of skills, moved straight ahead, and rushed to Eugene again. There were indeed some wounds on his body. After all, he is the king of the Dark-Tide Merlix of the Diamond Intermediate level, and his skill attack is very strong. But the injury was not even a minor injury, let alone a serious injury. Not only that, but the minor scratches recovered in an instant. As for the toxins attached to the skills, Eugene did not find any signs of taking effect. Seeing this situation, Millie next to her was thoughtful. No wonder the island owner explained before the battle that he should not add defensive skills to him. It turned out that his body was the best defense. The shield applied will actually drag down his speed. Milia is a little ashamed. Her strength is still not enough. Eugene didn't think so much. He felt like he was going to die. Where's this human being? So strong is so outrageous. This is only gold rank. If he waits for him to be promoted to platinum rank or even diamond rank, wouldn't he have to prepare to kill God? But Eugene guessed that he should never see that day. Advertisement Chapter 215 Kill Eugene, Purify the Horn of the Curse. Regional Mission Settlement. Under the continuous fierce offensive, Eugene was completely at a disadvantage. The defense couldn't keep up with Subei's attacking rhythm, and the scars on his body kept accumulating. During the period, there were also blasts of stigmata slashes, which further deepened Eugene's injury. As for Morton, he was also suppressed by the three of Winnie. However, his state was a little better than Eugene. He was not beaten to the point of being helpless, and he was able to resist twice. But that's about it. The battle continues. Half a minute later, Eugene let out a piercing scream. His left arm was chopped off by Chi Gan, and under the severe pain, his dark face turned white. Facing the shadow of death, Eugene simply chose to run away. He is the king of the dark-tide Merlix. How can he die in this place? As long as you can escape back to the deep sea, you can start all over again. However, Subei didn't want to leave the outcome to the next time, and the Tanwu demon slayer swept again. Eugene's body froze, and then slowly split into two. Although the king of dark-tide Merlix has the strength of the intermediate level of diamonds, but in the face of the heavenly martial demon extermination slash, he was still wiped out all the breath of life in an instant. Then, Subei looked at Morton. This tidal giant cannot be spared either. Morton turned his head and ran, stomping heavy footprints on the rock formations on the seafloor. Imprisoned in the water dungeon. Elaine's skill shot, announcing that Morton's life had entered the countdown. Looking at Subei rushing towards him, Morton resolutely begged for mercy. Human, I surrender. Stigma, slash. Gale slash. Morton's head was chopped off and floated in the sea. Afterwards, Subei asked Winnie and the three to be on guard, while he went straight to the Horn of Curse. The cursed Seagad Horn, Xinyao Inferior, the damaged Seagad Horn, has been corroded by demonic energy as expected. This thing is indeed in a damaged state. Subei tried to put his hand on the Horn of Curse, and instantly felt a lot of emotional awareness rushed into his mind, almost making people lose their minds. Vaguely, Subei seemed to see the scene of the Battle of the Gods. This horn, following the sea gods through trials and tribulations, was finally defeated in the war. The sea god disappeared, and the horn was damaged in the collision of divine power, lost the quality of the artifact, and fell to the lower grade of Xinyao. Further back, the horn is buried in the endless deep sea. I don't know how many years passed before Eugene, the king of the dark-tide Merlix, was found again. A few years after the horn was placed at the outlet of the demonic energy, the horn became contaminated and was called the Cursed Horn of the Sea God. Then there was this dark-tide Merlockrine. After Subei understood the general process, the magic energy in the horn was almost absorbed by him. The attributes of the horn have also been refreshed. Broken Poseidon Horn, Xinyao Inferior. Sounding the horn can improve the attributes of allies. Looking at the sea god's horn with a total length of more than 10 meters, Subei guessed that he should not be able to blow it, so he could only carry it back to the island and let the Tauren try it. At the moment when Subei absorbed the magic energy on the sea god's horn, the Mermaid Queen felt a sense of it, cancelled the magic barrier, and killed herself from the palace. At this time, the dark-tide Merlix were already in chaos. After Eugene and Morton were killed one after another, they began to panic. When the horn of the sea god was purified and the Mermaid Queen came out, the situation completely collapsed. The dark-tide Merlock roared and sneaked into the deep sea, trying to escape. But the mermaid family suffered heavy losses, and the queen was already furious, so how could these dark-tide Merlix escape? With just a few skills, tens of thousands of dark-tide Merlix were killed. Even though they were separated by 10,000 meters and couldn't see the battle scene directly, The mighty might could not be concealed. According to Subei's calculations, the strength of the Mermaid Queen is definitely beyond the diamond level. Subei felt that the effect of the brute force potion was fading, and the three of Winnie began to show fatigue, and immediately said, "Go back to the island and withdraw from the battle area." The task at this stage is not to hunt down the dark-tide Merlix, but to return to the island to stand by. Although the three of Winnie were a little puzzled, they still replied, "Yes." Immediately, the three of them activated the water current, rolled up the sea god's horn, and swam to the sea behind Subei. Subei didn't forget to take the bodies of Eugene and Morton with him. This is a diamond-level powerhouse, and it is very valuable. While floating, dark-tide Merlix kept fleeing to the vicinity, and they were immediately beheaded by Subei. Looking back at the deep sea, I couldn't see the figure of the Mermaid Queen. However, her magic power is still erupting, and the number of dark-tide Merlix is rapidly decreasing. Subei knows why there are only more than 10,000 mermaids, and they can still persist until now. To be honest, if Eugene hadn't gotten the curse horn, I'm afraid he would have given him 10 times as many troops, and he wouldn't have dared to go to trouble with the mermaid. The queen is too fierce. While thinking, Subei and Winnie surfaced, boarded the killer god, and returned to the island. The sea is full of dark-tide Murloc corpses floating with the waves. There are several hills stacked on the edge of the island. When the Shishin returned to the island, Subei immediately gave the order, retract 50 nautical miles at full speed. 55 The spirit of the island responded immediately, "Yes, Master." The island began to vibrate and moved in the opposite direction. During this process, the mermaids and mermen who were in better condition left the island one after another, recovering the corpses of the undertide Merlix as much as possible. Even if only the bronze rank and above were selected, there were still a large number of them, and new hills were quickly piled up. The island retreated all the way, and the dark green blood of the dark-tide Merlix also flowed all the way, dyeing the ocean currents discolored. As soon as the horn of the sea god was put in place, Subei received a notification from the island world. Ask for flowers. Congratulations on completing the regional mission. The reward has been settled, and you will get a diamond-level treasure chest. Congratulations on completing the regional mission. The reward has been settled, and you will get a diamond-level treasure chest. Congratulations on completing the regional mission. The reward has been settled, and you will get a diamond-level treasure chest. The announcement sounded 3 times in a row, and then, a diamond-grade treasure chest appeared in front of Subei. Subei opened it casually. Inside is a khaki crystal, with a very regular surface. "So, stingy, there are 2 things in the platinum treasure chest last time." 55 Subei couldn't help muttering. But after he saw the crystal properties clearly, he no longer complained. "Earth orb, middle grade diamond, placed on the island. The area will automatically increase by 1 square kilometer every day. This thing is invincible. An increase of 1 square kilometer per day. What is the concept? The current island area of Subei is about 18 square kilometers. With the earth orb, it can double directly in half a month. The longer the time, the greater the advantage. Although only 1 item was opened in the diamond-level treasure chest, Subei felt that the value of this item was higher than 10 platinum-level items. The point is, this thing can be refreshed. Refresh. 3. Alternative entries, 2 blue and 1 purple. Heaviness of the earth, epic grade. An additional area of 1 square kilometer is added, and the item level is upgraded to the lower grade of Xinyao, fixed. 35 Ding. The entry has been fixed. 35 After adding the entry, the earth orb can increase the area of 2 square kilometers per day. Subei is no longer worried that the island is not enough. And it's not over yet. The second entry is still blank. Refresh. The alternative entries this time are slightly worse. 1 green, 1 blue and 1 purple. Abundant water and grass, epic level, so that the earth orb has the effect of improving the fertility of the soil, and the item level is upgraded to the top grade star. This entry can increase the overall output of the island. Even areas not covered by magic fields can be strengthened. And the magic field can also be improved again. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 35 The 2 epic level entries were fixed, and the earth orb in his hand was already extremely bright and mighty. When you hold it in your hand, you can feel the weight of the earth. Tsubei gave the earth orb to the spirit of the island, and she placed it in the center of the island. Then, Tsubei looked at the damaged Poseidon horn. Time to refresh the fixed entry for this thing. As a former artifact, even if it is in a damaged state, it should not be underestimated. If it can be strengthened by the entry, it must be extraordinary. Refresh. Dry. Advertisement Chapter 216 Losses and Gains. Refresh the command and get the result immediately. It was still the familiar purple light. Tsubei didn't even bother to check the attributes of the entry, so he rushed to the bottom of the blood spirit fruit tree, and then chose to refresh. Still a mix of white and green. Tsubei is numb. What exactly is the blood spirit fruit tree doing? Counting the luck of refreshing 5 epic level entries for Elaine and Milia before, they couldn't save it. This guy is dead. Tsubei returned to the sea god's horn with resentment and checked the purple entry. Continuous repair, epic level, continuous repair of damage, and finally can meet the upgrade requirements. The item level will be upgraded to the top grade star. It is worthy of being a low grade item of Xinyao, and even epic level entries can only upgrade 2 item levels. As for the effect of continuous repair, not bad. Although the horn of the sea god has been purified of its demonic energy, the 69-7 surface is full of cracks. If it wasn't for the material being there, I'm afraid it would have cracked long ago. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 39 Immediately, Tsubei chose to refresh again. Refresh. Today is definitely a very commemorative day, and there is an epic alternative entry. Except for the unsatisfactory goods of the blood spirit fruit tree. Tsubei looked at the epic entry. Holy voice, epic level, sound the horn, add extra holy damage to allies' attacks, and upgrade the item level to the best of stars. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 39 After 2 epic entries, Poseidon's horn can be upgraded to the best of stars. And this is because it has its own Xinyao inferior. Tsubei felt that if this thing fell to the diamond grade, I am afraid that it would not be able to return to the best star. Perhaps the continuous repair of the entry was working. Tsubei found that the cracks on the surface of the Poseidon's horn seemed to have become smaller. The magnitude is small, but it is indeed changing. It's just that the sea god horn was an artifact at the beginning, and the material was extremely strong. Even the power of an epic entry was very slow to take effect. Tsubei is not in a hurry, just let it be repaired slowly. Calling the Tauren moreover, Tsubei asked, can this thing blow? Moore didn't even try, and immediately shook his head again, and said with a bitter face, Islander, even if I blow my lungs, I'm afraid it won't make a sound. This thing can only be used at the diamond level. Tsubei waved his hand and told Moore to go back and continue to clear the battlefield. After thinking about it, Tsubei thought he could try it. Although he did not reach the diamond level, he hacked to death to diamond level. Judging from the level of combat power, it should be about the same. Thinking of this, Tsubei grabbed the end of the Poseidon's horn and blew it hard. Woo. The long horn sounded throughout the sea. The people on the island immediately felt that their bodies were filled with inexhaustible strength. The wounded brows were also relieved, and the pain was relieved a lot. Even more than a dozen nautical miles away, the mermaids who were chasing the dark tide murlocs at the bottom of the sea have been strengthened, killing the remaining dark tide murlocs. In the deep sea, the mermaid queen, who had vented her anger, was thoughtful, and immediately returned to the palace, constantly issuing new orders. Of course, the crisis of the dark tide murlocs has been lifted. But their impact is far-reaching. The dead and injured tribesmen need to be appeased, the fallen homes need to be rebuilt, and countless things are waiting to be resolved. And in the heart of the mermaid queen, there is one more thing that is extremely important. That was the meeting with Tsubei. However, Tsubei's island retreated directly to let the queen know that it was not yet time. Have to wait for the matter at hand to come to an end. Under the full force of the spirit of the island retreated 50 nautical miles, then slowed down, and finally stopped. And the battlefield has been cleared. Relevant statistics are also reported to Tsubei by Du Ling. Islander, in this battle, we have 0 casualties. Du Ling's eyes were slightly red, and she said, although there are many injured. It is a fortune among misfortunes. Sube nodded. This result is not bad. Such a result is also due to the blessing of fortress that never falls. With one addition and one subtraction, the gap in combat power will widen, thus establishing the foundation of winning more with less. The main reason was the addition of Teresa and 500 silver-level mermaids, which greatly enhanced the backbone of the island. They maintained the line of defense and minimized casualties in the underwater bastion. Otherwise, low-level ability users and mermaids will inevitably suffer casualties. Sube nodded and motioned for Du Ling to continue. Du Ling said, "This battle consumed more than 1,500 mines and 23,000 harpoons." Sube's teeth hurt. This is all money. After this battle, it is estimated that he owes at least 1 billion to the Special Affairs team. Fortunately, Du Ling reported the harvest in time. The next part is the recovered loot. 55 2-diamond level dark corpses were brought back by the island owner. Platinum, Dark Tide Murloc 3, they tried to attack the island, but they were besieged and killed by Your Excellency Teresa. 129 gold level Dark Tide Murlocs, silver level Dark Tide Murlocs more than 1,200, bronze level Dark Tide Murlocs more than 3,500, and black iron level Murlocs have not had time to recover. 99 Sube waved his hand and said, "I don't want the black iron, we don't like low-end products." With that said, Sube stood up and paced around excitedly. The battle is tough, but the rewards are rich. With so many corpses of Dark Tide Murlocs, the materials that can be collected are unimaginable. For a long time, the forging workshop would be too busy to stop. The scales of the Dark Tide Murlocs are ready-made chain armor materials. As long as the specifications are modified and tendons are added, they can be sold as finished products. Even if a Dark Tide Murloc builds a set of equipment, it is thousands of sets of equipment. If you give a part to the Special Affairs team, you can settle the arrears. Then deduct the rewards issued to members of the island. The rest are earned. In addition, there are the props of the Earth Orb, and the initial restoration of the Sea God's Horn. This battle, the benefits are very exaggerated. Just as the crisis of the Dark Tide Murlocs has been lifted, the next time is to digest the spoils and further develop and expand the island. When these things are done, it is estimated that the mermaid will be ready. That's when Sube meets the queen. To be honest, Sube was a little nervous. The queen lost 2.5 outs in the previous meal, and the Dark Tide Murlocs were almost wiped out. The terrifying magic fluctuations made Sube secretly startled. Collecting his thoughts, Sube said, "The treatment of the wounded must be foolproof and there must be no problems." Du Ling immediately replied, "Understood, Lord Helena is already preparing medicines urgently." Sube nodded. If Helena makes a move, there should be no problem. It is estimated that there are no deaths this time, and it is also her credit. As long as there is one breath left, it can be rescued with magic potion. As for the issue of material consumption, Helena doesn't care at all. It's all Sube reimbursement anyway. And for Sube, it's nothing more than a question of money, and that's not a problem at all. Just the 2-diamond level powerhouses he hacked to death could sell for sky-high prices if they just took off their scales. The island of Sube gradually regained its calm. Advertisement: if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217, Hidden Dangers. Cleaning up the battlefield and treating the wounded were busy until late at night. When everything was done, the members of the island were relieved, and many people fell asleep. Fortunately, there is the spirit of the island to control the environment, so there is no need to worry about catching a cold at night. Sube came to the high battery position and found a random place to sit and watch the scenery. By the way, stay overnight to prevent the enemy from attacking. In fact, it doesn't make much difference whether to keep watch or not. Due to the riots of the Dark Tide Murlocs, even small shrimps could not be found in the nearby waters. But anyone with a little bit of meat was either eaten by the Dark Tide Murlocs, or died in battle. The ocean became extraordinarily quiet, even a little dead. "Islander, I guessed you were here." Yvette's voice came from behind. Tsubei looked back and was stunned. Under the moonlight, Yvette, dressed in a veil, stepped on the slate with her smooth little feet and walked slowly. Step by step, lotus, swaying and colorful. Tsubei moved to the side and said, "Come and sit." Yvette sat down obediently, put her head on Tsubei's shoulder, and asked, "The island owner seems to have something on his mind." Tsubei smiled and said, "There was originally, but after seeing you, it doesn't seem to matter." 99 Yvette's cheeks flushed, and her nervous hands didn't know where to put them. Tsubei looked at the sea and said solemnly, "I found a problem." Ye-17 Whiter asked curiously, "What is it?" Perhaps, because of the serious business, Yvette felt that she was no longer nervous. Tsubei said slowly, "I'm worried about the state of the Mermaid Queen. In the previous battle, although we immediately evacuated, I felt a bad breath in the fluctuation of the Queen's magic power." "Ah," Yvette covered her mouth and whispered, and said in disbelief, "What does the island owner mean? Devilish energy?" Tsubei nodded. He was transferred to a slaughtering demon warrior, and he had a natural ability to perceive demonic energy. Even when the Mermaid Queen shot, she was several kilometers away from him, and there were countless dark-eyed Merlics in the middle. But still can feel some clues. It's a pity that Tsubei couldn't see the Queen's figure in the chaos at that time, otherwise he could confirm the Queen's status through the entry system. Yvette looked sad, even forgetting the original purpose of coming to Tsubei. Although she is now loyal to Tsubei, she is still a little overwhelmed when she hears that the Queen may be corroded by demonic energy. The Queen is the hope of the mermaid family. If something goes wrong with her, Yvette can't imagine what will happen. Tsubei felt that the topic was a little heavy. Such a beautiful day, it is a bit unpleasant to say this, patted Yvette on the shoulder, and said with relief, "Don't worry, your Queen's strength is so strong that I am afraid the mere demonic energy is nothing to worry about. It's been so many years. Your Queen is not still good." Yvette thought about it, and it was the same reason. Plus, she has absolute confidence in Tsubei. Even if the Queen is really troubled by demonic energy, the island owner will solve this problem. It will be fixed in a while. Tsubei didn't know that Yvette spoke so highly of him. He is also thinking about countermeasures. If the Mermaid Queen is really affected by the magic energy, how to save her life. In other words, how to maximize profits. Since the Queen can withstand the sound of the curse horn, it means that she has not fallen to the point where the mountains and rivers are exhausted. After all, she has sheltered tens of thousands of mermaids. The scale of the magic barrier is a miracle. A powerhouse of that level, even if it is really affected by demonic energy, can persist for a long time. Tsubei can't solve the problem of the Queen's demonic energy at this stage, which doesn't mean that it can't be done in the future. Entry system, anything is possible. Perhaps the opportunity for change lies in his third entry. The power of mythical entries is enough to change the situation. Tsubei's thoughts were flying, and he gradually gained confidence in his heart. As he said before, the time advantage is on his side. And Yvette noticed the change in Tsubei's mentality and smiled cheerfully. She knew that the island owner had a way. Reaching out her hand to fold her hair, Yvette said shyly, "Islander, I have built a swimming pool in my new residence. You can go and have a look and give some advice." Tsubei is naturally bound to. When I came to Yvette's residence, there was only a floor more than 1 meter wide when I entered the door, and the rest were all pools. Above the pool, there are a few water lily leaves floating about 3 meters in diameter, and they are very tough. Tsubei reached out to touch the temperature of the water and found it was warm. Yvette explained, "There is a pipe from the forge to adjust the temperature of the residence." Tsubei nodded. "Isn't it just heating?" However, the furnace on the side of the forge is endless, and the excess heat can be fully utilized, and it will not be wasted. While thinking about it, Tsubei felt Yvette pushed him. With his physical quality, he was actually completely able to stand. Not to mention Yvette, even if Winnie and the other 3 platinum top powerhouses exerted their strength at the same time, they would not even try to shake Tsubei. However, in this situation, it is natural to fall directly into the water. Yvette also went into the water. Early in the morning, Subei woke up on a water lily leaf and said, "This water lily is very good, it can be used as a life-saving pad." Yvette replied, "This is a bronze-level blue light water lily, which is characterized by its toughness, and both my clan and the mermaid clan will plant it." Subei nodded, and walked out of the room after tidying up, and started arranging for today's affairs. As for Yvette, she had to sleep again. As the biggest obsession at this stage, Subei went straight to the blood spirit fruit tree. Then he signed helplessly. How long will this product's big move be held back, and high-grade entries haven't been written yet? Subei looked at the 100 storm strawberries next to him. Under the catalysis of the magic field, it has already reached a height of more than 10 centimeters. These were purchased from Shen Qingling a few days ago. As for the payment method, it was naturally the storm potion. A bottle of platinum-level storm potion was passed on, and Shen Qingling immediately reported it to the special affairs team to collect these 100 ready-made seedlings. Refresh. The 697 words are slightly average, and the highest is an excellent grade. Power of the Gale, excellent, so that the storm strawberry has the effect of awakening the sea-level wind power, and the item level is upgraded to the gold middle grade. After pondering for a moment, Subei decided to fix the entry. Storm strawberries are different from blood spirit fruit trees, they are herbs, and seedlings must be replanted after harvesting. Just make sure that after the 2 entries are stacked, the quality can be upgraded to platinum level. According to the calculation, the minimum is the combination of the excellent level and the rare level entry. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The quality of storm strawberries has been improved, and the growth progress has also been accelerated. Immediately, Subei refreshed the second entry, all came, and simply solved it at one time. Another blue entry, extreme growth, excellent level, reduce the growth time by 50%, and upgrade the item level to platinum middle grade. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 35 After gaining extreme growth, storm strawberries begin to grow at a rate visible to the naked eye. In just a moment, it reached a height of more than 30 centimeters. Green little strawberries hang from the branches and leaves, small in size, but a good omen. Subei nodded in satisfaction. Although the blood spirit fruit tree has pulled its hips, but other plants are supported, it can be regarded as a loss and a gain. Then, Subei looked at the golden rainbow banana tree next to him. Refresh. Purple light immediately filled the field of vision. Advertisement Chapter 218 Surprise, A-level profession, inheritance of storm shooters. The first entry of the golden rainbow banana tree is the excellent grade, which has raised the grade to the gold low grade. In this case, the fixation of the second entry needs to be cautious. Banana trees are also continuously producing, and at least they have to be upgraded to platinum level to maximize profits. In today, it came true. Fruit enhancement, epic level. The golden rainbow banana has the effect of awakening the B-level water system ability, and the item level is upgraded to platinum middle grade. To sum it up in 2 words. Take off. Fixed. 35 Ding. The entry has been fixed. Looking at the well-growing storm strawberries and golden rainbow bananas, Subei glanced at the blood spirit fruit tree next to him. When will this thing be able to argue? While thinking about it, Juan Menaiu came from a distance and said, "Island Master, Lord Eve is looking for you." 35 Although the spirit of the island conveyed it on their behalf, many members of the island still maintain their original habits. Unless it's wartime, they don't talk directly to Subei from a distance. This is an homage to Subei. Fortunately, there is the spirit of the island, and the location of Subei can be known. After Subei heard Juan Menaiu's report, he was a little curious. Eve looking for him is a little rare. Since he discovered that he could not draw magic patterns on Subei's body at this stage, the master of magic patterns has been hit hard and devoted himself to cultivating. In addition, the members of the island need to draw the magic pattern of aura gathering together, and Eve can't stop when she is busy. Subei couldn't help but look forward to it. It must be beneficial for Eve to find him. With this in mind, Subei decisively took Juan Menaiu to the drawing room. He refreshed the entry for Juan Menaiu, and was stunned. It turned out to be epic. Tsubei pondered that his strength has improved now, and the probability of brushing high-grade entries is also much higher. But only in the blood spirit fruit tree. It shrunk again and again. Restraining his mind, Tsubei stopped and looked at Xuanmenayu's entry. Xuanmenayu also stopped, a little nervous and a little excited. The changes of Winnie and the others were witnessed by everyone on the island. Knowing that if they can obtain the secondary reinforcement of the island owner, their strength will also increase rapidly. It's just that everyone knows that this method requires an opportunity, so I didn't mention it much. Just do my own thing seriously. They believe that the island owner will not forget them. The same is true for Xuanmenayu. Now that Tsubei stopped, Xuanmenayu knew the situation immediately. Storm Shooter, epic, get A-level professional storm shooter inheritance. This entry made Tsubei a little surprised. It turned out to be a professional inheritance. According to the previous rules, only the island owner can obtain inheritance. As a result, with the help of the power of the entry, Tsubei actually created a career inheritance entry in Xuanmenayu. Tsubei couldn't help but get excited. This is an important signal. If you can brush out the inheritance of the fighting profession, well, what about auxiliary occupations? For example, potionists and magic weave masters. Tsubei thinks it's very possible. In order to study the effect, Tsubei decided to fix Xuanmenayu's entry first. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 99. In an instant, Xuanmenayu's knowledge emerged in Xuanmenayu's mind, and she couldn't help but close her eyes and perceive it carefully. Both hands subconsciously put on a shooting stance. Immediately, the illusory translucent longbow appeared in her hand, and the pale white arrows also took shape. Xuanmenayu released her hand, and the whirlwind arrow shot straight into the sky, disappearing from sight. At the same time, the spiritual energy also gathered, raising Xuanmenayu's level to the top bronze level in one breath, jumping 3 levels in a row. Xuanmenayu opened her eyes and widened her eyes with a cute expression. Islander, this. How come I suddenly gained some knowledge? 9. Tsubei waved his hand to signal not to be nervous, and then asked, have you received any additional tips? Xuanmenayu nodded hurriedly and replied, yes. The island world reminded me that I obtained the inheritance of the Storm Archer, and I also learned a new skill called Hurricane Arrow. The Hurricane Arrow should be the white arrow just now. Tsubei went on to say, shoot me with all your might. Xuanmenayu thought she had heard it wrong. Tsubei repeated, just punch me, don't worry, you can't hurt me with your strength. 35. Xuanmenayu thought about it. This is the truth. He pleaded guilty and used all his strength to swing his fist towards Tsubei. Tsubei casually caught Xuanmenayu's fist, felt it for a moment, and analyzed. Aside from the effect of level changes, all attributes have been increased by about 50%. 5. Then, Tsubei said, go to Eve's first. Okay. Xuanmenayu nodded in agreement. On the way, Tsubei called all the golden powerhouses such as Helena and Teresa to Avena, including Gitana. In addition, there are 3 platinum powerhouses, Winnie, Elaine and Milia. The crowd gathered together. Seeing this situation, Eve put things down first, ready to listen to Tsubei. Tsubei asked Xuanmenayu to stand in the middle and said, what can you feel? Helena looked at it for a while, then stretched out her hands to squeeze Xuanmenayu's arm, and then said in surprise, it turned out to be a professional inheritance. But how is this possible? She is not the island owner, how can she obtain a professional inheritance? 99. The other strong men were suddenly stunned. Immediately, he leaned forward to take a closer look and exclaimed from time to time. He looked at Tsubei with more admiration. To be able to even do such a thing is indeed the island owner. Helena and the others spread their positions again. Tsubei said, Menayu's professional heritage is Storm Archer, who knows? Winnie and the mermaids shook their heads, indicating that they didn't quite understand. The same goes for the garden trio. On the other hand, Eve said, Island Master, I know a little about the Storm Shooter. It is the main inheritance of the Wind Goblin family. Tsubei looked over. Eve went on to say, Wind fairies were born in the land of strong winds. They are similar to flower fairies, but they are larger in size, about 1 meter or so. Storm shooters are their inheritance. The characteristics of this profession are flexibility and long range. 99 Everyone nodded and praised, worthy of being an elf, and their knowledge is profound. Sube looked at Helena and said, take Menaiu to check to see if there are any hidden dangers. After all, this is the first fusion of power user and professional inheritance, and it is too cautious. Sube plans to let Juan Menaiu stay in the alchemy room next, and take care of Helena to ensure that Wang Nuazao is safe. Helena replied, leave this to me. Juan Menaiu also said, don't worry about the island owner, I feel that the two forces are merging. Helena and others retired and went to the alchemy room. Winnie and the 3 platinum powerhouses also went there. They are also very curious about this kind of thing. Unexpectedly, the ability user can be integrated with the inheritance profession, which has never been heard of before. When the others left, Eve said, the island owner's methods are stronger. 35 Sube waved his hand and said with a smile, at present, it can only be said to be an example, and I am not sure whether it will appear in the future. 55 Sube then asked, what's the matter with calling me here? Speaking of this, Eve's eyes became a little dangerous. She waved her hand to create a magic barrier, and then said, I deciphered the enslavement magic pattern from a few fragments. I don't know if the island owner is interested in welcoming it. Eve said faintly, the human loyalty problem that the island owner is most worried about can be solved by this magic pattern. 99 Advertisement Chapter 219 Cultivating Apprentices with Magic Patterns. Sube had actually heard about the concept of enslavement magic patterns. But this kind of magic pattern is suppressed even in the island world. Dark people can use it, but the aborigines rarely appear. Although Sube knew that Eve's starting point was a good one, the use of enslaving the magic pattern is easy to arouse the resentment of the aborigines, and the gain outweighs the loss. Before, it was to increase the number of power users, so I had to return to Blue Star many times. But now it is different, the number has basically reached the standard. Not only that, but more than 500 mermaids have been added. The number of sharks is also increasing. Sube's heroic act of taking the island to the undertide Murloc encirclement has been circulated in the nearby waters. Coupled with Lulu's propaganda, the total number of mermen on the island has exceeded 200. To be honest, if it wasn't for the earth orb that could keep increasing the size of the island, Sube would have had a headache where so many people would put it. With sufficient combat strength, Sube naturally does not need to return to Blue Star. Hundreds of mermaids need to refresh fixed entries, as well as refresh the second entry. There are many things. If there are no more candidates for abilities, there will be no problem of human loyalty. So Sube looked at Eve and said in a deep voice, you just need to know this magic pattern, it's useless at rank 700 at the current level. After thinking for a moment, Sube added, it may be useful in the future. Eve shrugged regretfully and said nothing. Since the island owner doesn't allow it to be used, then there is no need to use it. Anyway, she researched it in her spare time. After thinking for a moment, Sube said, you have seen Menaiu's situation just now, do you have any ideas? Eve Bingsu was smart and immediately understood Sube's intentions, and said, the island owner is thinking about cultivating magic weave masters. I have no objection to this. It's too late to be happy to be able to make a few more strikes. This is the truth. Now Eve draws ores and magic patterns for the members of the island every day, which makes her feel very boring. If it is said that Eve is excited and has a sense of accomplishment when she draws the magic pattern of aura gathering together. Now, it's just boring. However, the longevity of the elves made Eve develop a peaceful mind and quickly adjusted. But after seeing Juan Menaiu's inheritance of Storm Archer, Eve saw another possibility. The prerequisite for learning magic patterns is to possess magic power, which is impossible for ordinary humans to do. Unless it is the island owner who has obtained the inheritance. But the number is too small to be used as a reference. However, Juan Menaiu, as a power user, has obtained the inheritance of the Storm Archer. Eve immediately thought that if others obtained the inheritance of the magic profession, then they could try to learn the magic pattern. As long as you increase the accuracy of your hands, you will have the ability to draw elementary magic patterns. It can greatly reduce Eve's pressure. Eve thought of this. Tsubei also thought about it, so he would ask questions. Eve immediately threw the matter of enslaving the magic marks out of the sky, and said excitedly, "Islander, if you can find a group of magic apprentices with steady hands, then I will be sure to train them into junior magic marks." 99. As for whether they can go further, it depends on their understanding. Eve immediately expanded her thinking and added, "Actually, it is not limited to ability users. There are so many mermaids and mermen on the island. Most of them have the prerequisite of magic, but their hands are not stable enough, so they cannot learn magic patterns. As long as the island owner can keep their hands steady, then it's even easier." Eve's words made Tsubei nod again and again. Indeed, this is also a proven method. After discussing with Eve for a long time, Tsubei and Eve basically determined the stability of the hands that the apprentice of the magic pattern needs. According to Tsubei's calculations, if the rare level related entries can be refreshed, then the minimum requirements are met. However, Eve also clearly stated that at that level, it basically stops at the apprenticeship level, and can only draw the most basic magic patterns. If you want to be diligent, it will be difficult. Tsubei didn't care. Apprentices are apprentices, as long as they can cut the leaks of other island owners. Only in this way, the follow-up has to return to Blue Star. This also needs the help of the special team. Tsubei sent a message to Shen Qingling, "I need a few candidates with extremely stable hands." 99. The refresh of the entry is somewhat related to its own characteristics. If the innate hands are stable, then it will be more effective. Shen, BHCF, Qingling was a little unclear about this request, but agreed. With the ability of the special task force, results can be obtained in about 3 days. Turning off the chat bar, Tsubei left the drawing room. He's going to find mermaids and sharks. Witnessed by the three of Winnie, the new merman swears loyalty and joins Tsubei's command. Then, Tsubei gathered all the sharks together. The first is to appoint Lulu as the leader of the merman to coordinate in the center. The sharks have their own living habits, and these survivors come from different tribes and need buffer adaptation. No one else can do this, only the merman Lulu can do it. Lulu naturally will not refuse, and at the same time promises that Tsubei will never be disappointed. Afterwards, Tsubei refreshed the entries one by one for the sharks, preparing to find entries that would increase the stability of his hands. Not to mention, he really found 2 of them. Although it is only a rare entry, it is enough. Anyway, there is a second entry, you can refresh it slowly, and there is still the possibility of becoming a master in the future. Stable hands, rare, improve the stability of hands. This seemingly useless entry, combined with the magic foundation of the merman, has room to play. Tsubei immediately asked the 2 sharks to report to the drawing room. When they heard that they were going to be an apprentice to Eve, the 2 mermen were so excited that they almost fainted. What kind of virtue and ability they are! They can actually become the disciples of the mountain elves. And he's also a magician master. Other sharks sent their blessings one after another, and at the same time looked forward to whether they could have that kind of ability. Then, Tsubei came to the mermaid's side. As a strong family in the island world, the mermaid has a higher basic magic talent, which is a little weaker than that of the elves. Compared with the merman, it is several levels stronger. After more than 500 mermaids were refreshed, Tsubei's eyes were full. But the harvest is also quite rich. This time, there are 5 mermaids with corresponding excellent entries, precise and elegant, excellent level, greatly improve the stability of hands. Tsubei immediately asked the 5 mermaids to study in the drawing room as well. As for their previous patrol status, naturally they could not continue to serve. For this matter, Teresa has no opinion. To put it bluntly, they will be Tsubei's subordinates in the future, so there is no need to keep the patrol team. It's just that Tsubei has not made any new plans yet, so he will not move for now until the situation becomes clear. Teresa was also very pleased to see that her former subordinates had the potential to learn magic patterns. They don't want to fight if they can. Both the shark and the mermaid have been refreshed and fixed, and Tsubei's fixed chance today has been exhausted. Afterwards, Sube went to the forge, intending to discuss with Og and the others to determine how to use the dark tide murloc scales. During this time, Sube also drew others' attention to external movements. Especially the mermaid side. But until night fell, there was no news. Sube is not in a hurry either. The mermaid queen is not ready, so he will wait here in peace. Finally, the dark tide murlocs have been turned over, and they can focus on the development of the island. Sube didn't want to hand over the throne of the new king. Next, development is the main theme. Advertisement Chapter 220. The second entry of the Lin sisters. The mermaid is here. Juan Minyu obtained the inheritance of Storm Archer, which made Sube discover his own misunderstanding. He had always felt that professional disciplines such as potions and magic patterns needed to find corresponding talents. But a conversation with Eve made him realize that this was not the case. It is completely possible to train a magic weave master by yourself. Even if you can't become a master, it's good to have a few official magic weave masters. As for the person Sube asked Shen Qingling for, he wanted to train as an apprentice magic pattern master, and then arrange to help him cut leaks at Blue Star. Do you want to let the power users under your command have stronger combat power? If you want, come to the company to pay for the magic pattern. This kind of high-end technology, it is very reasonable to charge so much labor cost. In addition to the ability users under the command of other island owners, those free mercenaries will also be interested. Sube seems to see the birth of a monopoly industry. Blue Star does have some magic weave masters. But honorable. After all, in the past, only the island owner had the opportunity to obtain the inheritance of the magic profession, so as to have the qualification to learn the magic pattern. And the island owners are all day-to-day, so there is no time to sit there and draw magic patterns. The most is to give to friends, or to collect a lot of money before shooting. But Sube is different. The power users under his command also have the opportunity to obtain the inheritance of the magic profession. The more Sube thought about it, the more excited he became, as if seeing countless resources gathered under his name. I hadn't thought about this before. On the one hand, Sube was influenced by Blue Star's inherent concept. On the other hand, it is also the second entry that has not been published before for professional inheritance. Now it is different. A new path has appeared before us. With the plan of the magic pattern apprentice, Sube couldn't help but set his sights on Helena's side. Potions apprentices can also be arranged. And the requirements for potion apprentices are lower. Just prepare the finished potion according to the existing formula. It doesn't matter if the effect is weak. The output can be increased. Sube doesn't pick. He didn't drink it anyway. This is another sharp sickle that harvests all the island owners. Ha 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 ha. 35 Sube laughed heartily. If these two things are done, the island owners all over the world will work for him. Islander, why are you so happy? Lin Xiu was applying a mask in front of the dressing table, and when he heard Sube's laughter, he couldn't help asking curiously. Sube smiled and replied, "This matter actually has something to do with you." Lin Xiaoyun, who was next to him, came over with a mask on and said, "Islander, don't say it, let me guess." 99 Lin Xiaoyun slowly widened his eyes. "Could it be that what I thought?" Sube nodded. "If I understand correctly, that's what you think." 99 Lin Xiu was confused when he heard Sube and his sister playing dumb puzzles there. Is this against the code? Sube explained, "Today, I accidentally gave Minyu a professional inheritance, and is a storm shooter from the Department of Physics. By analogy, most of you can obtain similar inheritance, but you need to wait. My request for you is to obtain the inheritance of the magic profession, and then follow Helena to learn potion preparation." 5 Lin Xiu understood. But because of this, she was even more surprised. This incident completely subverted the mainstream perception of Blue Star, and the island owner could do it. After calming down, Lin Xiu said, "It seems that the focus of the island owner's follow-up is ready to shift to development." Sube looked at the ceiling and replied leisurely, "What's the point of fighting?" Before fighting with the Dark Tide Murlocs, it was also to obtain an external environment for stable development. The Lin family sisters nodded in agreement. Lin Xiaoyun thought for a while and said, "Island owner, Why don't you say that the Mermaid Queen hasn't sent someone over? We have helped them so much, and we have no sign of it. 39 Sube waved his hand. I know this in my mind, it's rather troublesome, but overall it's still manageable. Seeing that Sube said it solemnly, Lin Xiaoyun didn't ask any more questions. After taking off the mask, he leaned in front of Sube and said ostentatiously, Islander, look, the skin on my face is smoother. Sube observed it carefully for a moment, then nodded and said, indeed, I can't see anything wrong with my eyesight. Lin Xiaoyun said proudly, Islander, this is my latest research result, the newly configured mask. When the formula is adjusted, it will be sent back to Blue Star to organize production. Very good, Sube praised with a smile. Blue Star's environment is not good, and the cosmetics business is still very marketable. Lin Xiaoyun was affirmed, more and more delighted, and then put forward his own request, Islander, I need some high-quality golden lemons as the main ingredient. 35 Sube waved his hand, tomorrow, I will help you solve this problem. The 2 golden lemon trees on the island are about to mature, so they will be strengthened again. Thank you, Island Master. Lin Xiaoyun smiled. Lin Xiu also came over and said, Islander, I want some ma shuang flowers. Sube naturally agreed. At the same time, he was thinking about fixing the second entry of ma shuanghua. The current ma shuanghua is high-grade silver, and as long as there is a rare grade, it can be upgraded to gold quality. Even if it is low-grade gold, it is enough. But these things have to be reserved for tomorrow. Now, take a break. After packing up in the morning, Sube first refreshed the entries for Lin Xiaoyun and Lin Xiu. The 2 sisters are the highest level of excellence, and they still have the same attributes. Potion Scholar, excellent grade, obtained the inheritance of B-level professional potion scholar. Not epic, which is where Sube regrets. But after thinking for a while, Sube decided to settle down first. For flowers. First solve the problem of whether there is or not, and then solve the problem of whether it is strong or not. When he is promoted to the platinum level, he can add the 3rd entry, and then he will be promoted to the star level, and then the 4th entry will be added. Can also strengthen. Fixed. 99 Ding, the entry has been fixed. 55 Like Zhuanmenaiyu yesterday. The Lin family sisters also gained new knowledge. However, according to Sube's inquiries, the knowledge they acquired was slightly different. Lin Xiaoyun is a fire-type ability user, and Lin Xiu is a nice-type ability user. The knowledge they acquire is all corresponding to the attributes. This is also a rather peculiar place. In addition, the rank of the Lin family sisters has only been upgraded to Bronze Advanced. It's a pity, but not a big deal either. Afterwards, Sube asked the Lin family sisters to go to the alchemy room, who happened to be with Zhuanmenaiyu, and let Helena take care of them. By the way, you can also learn potions. Just like this, Zhuanmenaiyu seemed a little bored. She wanted to doze off when she saw the recipes. Fortunately, Helena found something for her, that is, to tap the power of the storm shooter. It can also record more data and accumulate experience for subsequent professional inheritance. Immediately, Sube came under the blood spirit fruit tree again, and then became very angry again. This stuff still doesn't hold up. Sube helplessly patted the trunk of the blood spirit fruit tree and sighed, old man, you have to work harder. Look around, everyone came later than you, but the quality has caught up or even surpassed you. Be ashamed and then brave. 5 After some words, I don't know if the blood spirit fruit tree can understand it. Sube thinks he should understand. Then refresh the fixed entries for the golden lemon tree and ma shuang flower. Among them, the golden lemon tree also obtained the epic entry, fruit enhancement, and the quality was improved from the best black iron to the lowest gold in one breath, which can be called a minor miracle. Ma shuanghua is a little worse. It is rare, frost breath, rare level, so that ma shuanghua has the effect of awakening sea-level ice-type abilities, and the item level is upgraded to the lower gold level general promotion. However, ma shuang flower is an herb, and it still needs to be replanted in the future. It is enough to improve it to golden quality. After fixing the entry, Bei asked Shui Ling to pick up some finished products and send them to the alchemy room. Later, Bei finds Winnie. He really wanted to know whether it was normal for the Mermaid Queen to be silent for such a long time. But if nothing goes wrong, then he has to consider running away with the bucket early. Winnie couldn't say why either. After all, in the past, the Queen had always behaved normally. Elaine and Milia also agreed. While the four of them were discussing, the spirit of the island reported. A team of mermaids is approaching on the sea. Bei cheered up immediately. Finally came to do it. Advertisement Chapter 221 Invitation. The mermaid team on the sea totaled 20, wearing golden armor, covered with helmets, and their faces could not be seen clearly. But the strength is clearly revealed. All are gold. Yvette next to Bei covered her mouth and whispered, "It's the Queen's Guard." Divided by the responsible area, the mermaids' fighting force is divided into two parts. Inside and outside the palace. In the palace, it is the Queen's Guard next to the Queen. Outside the palace, there are patrols and city guards. However, there is not much difference between the patrol and the city guard, and the two will switch defenses. From the point of view of power distribution, the Queen's Guards are at least gold rank, while patrols and city guards are generally silver rank. Of course, it can be further subdivided, but this is generally the case. Bei also knew about it, so when Yvette said the opposite was the Queen's Guard, he was not surprised. It would be disrespectful for the Mermaid Queen to send patrols over. 700 will definitely not do this as long as the other party is still rational. The arrival of the Queen's Guards now preliminarily proves that the Queen's problem has been alleviated. While thinking about it, the 20 Queen's Guards stopped at the edge of the coast and saluted Bei in unison. Afterwards, one of them stepped forward as a representative and said softly, "Your Excellency Bei, you are safe. I am here on the order of the Queen to invite Your Excellency to the palace as a guest." Bei nodded, then asked, "What if I don't go?" 66.99 The atmosphere was a little awkward. Although it was covered by a visor, the expression of the Queen's Guards could not be seen. But it was absolutely astonishing. But she quickly reacted and said, "The Queen has explained that if you don't have time recently, then I will return first. When you want to come, just bring a message, and I will come to greet you again later." Bei smiled, "Thank you for the Queen's kindness. I'll just say it casually, since the Queen invited me, I'm definitely going." The Queen's Guard was as motionless as a mountain, very calm. Bei then asked, "The Queen said how many people I can take?" The Queen's Guard replied, "If Your Excellency is willing, you can bring the island to the top of our city, and then take people to dive. As for the number of people, even if you want to bring the members of the entire island, it is fine." Bei nodded. If nothing else, the Queen's attitude is at least in place. With her extremely powerful strength, there is absolutely no need to give Bei face like this. But she did it anyway. Bei's heart is like a mirror. The Queen must have something to ask for. The root of the problem lies in the trouble of demonic energy. However, we will have to wait until we see the Queen. Collecting his thoughts, Bei said, "Your Excellency, lead the way, I'll go by myself." Wow. This sentence shocked the members of the island behind them. Regardless of the fact that the Queen's Guard was nearby, they all persuaded them. You can go to the palace, but you can bring some people with you. No matter how bad it is to drive the killing god, it is also good to use it as a means of transportation. Bei is very open. With the combat power shown by the Mermaid Queen, even if he put all his combat power on, it would not be enough to fight. In that case, it is better to travel lightly. In addition, if there is a real problem, he can deal with it more flexibly by himself. After Yvette and the others finished talking about their concerns, Bei waved his hand and said, "It's alright, don't think too much. I guess I'll leave now and come back at noon." He then added, "You guys can wait here with peace of mind. The vigilance work must be done well, and I'll be back when I go." Winnie, Elaine, and Miria stepped forward and said sincerely, "Please take us with you." Bei thought for a moment and said, "Then Winnie and I will go with me, and the others will be on standby at the island." This is in order. Although everyone was still a little worried, They all knew Subei's temperament and said nothing. He could only give up, and instead told Winnie to be careful. Winnie agreed. Immediately, the Queen's Guard made an inviting gesture, inviting Subei and Winnie to board the seahorse chariot. Also hand Subei a pearl, water-avoiding pearls, top-grade gold, forming bubbles to isolate seawater. Even with Subei's strength, he can hold his breath for hours and move freely underwater. But it was inconvenient after all. After all, he was going to see the Mermaid Queen, and he was so wet with words. This water-avoiding pearl came just in time. The Queen is also very thoughtful. More than a dozen seahorse chariots galloped across the sea, then dived into the water and disappeared. At the moment of launching, bubbles appeared around Subei, with a diameter of about 5 meters, wrapping the entire seahorse chariot. At the same time, there is no burden on the traction hippocampus. The Queen's Guard who rode the same chariot said, "If your excellency likes this kind of pearls, you can bring more when you go back. We don't use them very much." Subei nodded, "Then I'm welcome." The Queen's Guard took off his helmet, revealing a beautiful face, and said earnestly, "Your kindness to our clan cannot be measured by these pearls." On the other seahorse chariots, the Queen's Guards also took off their helmets and saluted Subei. Subei smiled back and said, "It is my duty to fight the dark race, and this is also for myself. After all, if the dark tide Merlix are flooded, my island will not be much better." 5. The Queen's Guards knew this, but their gratitude to Subei was still beyond words. After all, there were hundreds of thousands of dark tide Merlix who appeared this time. Ordinary people don't even call it a battle, and I'm afraid they won't even watch it. On the other hand, Subei was fearless, and even took the island straight to the encirclement. This move left a deep impression in the hearts of all mermaids. During the chat, Subei saw a bright light in the deep sea. As the distance got closer, the light became clearer. It was a city with bright lights. However, traces of the war can be seen vaguely. In the very center of the city, there is a splendid palace. A transcendent magic wave entrenched in the palace. That's the Mermaid Queen. The seahorse chariot stopped outside the city and slowed down. Although it is possible to go directly to the palace from above, Subei is an invited guest and a great benefactor of the mermaid family, so naturally he can't take things lightly. The stage must be in place. The gates of the city opened, and a wide road led directly to the palace. On both sides of the road, mermaids lined up to welcome them, all looking here with curious eyes. The seahorse chariot formed a triangular formation and moved towards the city. Subei's pet is naturally at the front of the team. After entering the city, Subei found that in the houses on both sides of the road, there were more mermaids watching from the windows. Whispers also reached the ears. "Is this the human who killed Dark Tide Murloc 2.5? So handsome. His breath is really warm and smells good. It's great to hear that Yvette and the others are on the island, and I want to go too. Is the lady next to you Winnie? The breath has become so strong." 66.99 The mermaids talked in low voices. Subei was wondering if he could turn back a little while he was leaving. But after thinking about it, Subei gave up the idea. The mermaid family has just experienced the war and is understaffed. It is estimated that the Queen will not let go. Also, those mermaids on the island need to be disposed of properly. Wait until things are done before making plans. While thinking about it, the team passed through the city and arrived before the palace. Woo. A long horn sounded. The main gate of the palace opened, and hundreds of Queen's Guards lined up on both sides of the road, raising the horns in their hands and blowing the welcome melody. Advertisement Chapter 222 The Mermaid Queen. To be honest, just looking at this pomp, Subei was a little scared. Hundreds of Queen's Guards were drawn to the Guard of Honor alone. These are all gold. In the entire palace, there are still many platinum-level powerhouses scattered everywhere. The mermaid family is worthy of being a strong family in the island world, and the background is too deep. Also, as far as Subei knows, the mermaids here are not all. In other seas, there are other large tribes. No one can tell how many mermaids there are in the entire island world. I'm afraid they don't have the concept themselves. But even this tribe, with a total population of more than 10,000, can resist the attack of hundreds of thousands of dark-tide murlocs. If it weren't for the cursed horn, I'm afraid the dark-tide murlocs would not dare to come out and make trouble. Before Sube was able to go straight to the vicinity of the horn, it was also because the main force of the dark-tide murlocs were fighting against the mermaids, and there were not many platinum-level powerhouses who could come to intercept them. Of course, after Sube was promoted to the gold rank, no matter how many platinum rank he came, it was a delivery service. In addition, it is estimated that the Tidefish people did not expect it. They have 2 diamond-level powerhouses to protect the cursed horns, and they are still 17 chopped to the ground by Sube. Collecting his thoughts, Sube walked along the red carpet to the main hall of the palace. Perhaps also for the convenience of talking to Sube, the entire main hall is wrapped in bubbles, and the land is no doubt. These are some details, but also reveal the queen's heart. Walking into the main hall, Sube saw the mermaid queen. Compared with ordinary mermaids, the queen is taller. The fishtail turned into a pair of legs. Dressed in robes, graceful and luxurious. Sube still respected this super powerful man, and said, "Under Sube, see the queen." The queen showed a soft smile and said, "You don't need to be too polite. You have purified the horn of the sea god and saved the mermaid family. You are our closest friend." Sube smiled and said, "The queen is very polite. This is what I should do." After all, the queen also sent more than 500 silver-level mermaids, plus 5 gold-level and 3 platinum-level powerhouses. Sube's attitude is very friendly. In addition, Sube is also worried that if he gets too carried away, he will be slapped to death by the queen. The opponent has this strength. The atmosphere was very harmonious. After chatting for a while, Sube asked, "Empress, I have a question. I have some doubts, and I don't know if I can answer it for me." The queen said, "Your Excellency seems to be too naive to call me the queen. Just call me Claudia." Sube followed suit and said, "Queen Claudia." Claudia was helpless and could only follow Sube. Sube went on to say, "This dark-tide murloc riot, didn't the wood elves come to support? Are you allies?" Claudia sighed and said, "The wood elves have also been attacked, and their territory needs to be guarded." This is something Sube doesn't know. However, this makes sense. If the wood elves came, the horn of curse would have been blown up long ago, so there would be no need for Sube to take action. After all, the horn of the curse is the property of the sea god, and it is only valid for the aborigines of the sea. Wood elves are mostly unaffected. Thinking of what Shen Kingaling said before that the wood elves' warehouse had been bombed, Sube immediately realized that this dark-tide murloc riot was not an isolated incident, but a sophisticated plan. The Dark Tribe launched an offensive on land and sea at the same time, trying to completely obliterate the mermaid tribe. It's a pity that it was a little bit meaningless, and the cursed horn was purified by Sube. As a result, Claudia, the mermaid queen, freed up her hands and directly destroyed the dark-tide murlocs. Sube said solemnly, "It seems that the dark people's plans are not small." Claudia nodded, "Indeed, it would be very dangerous if your excellency hadn't made a move this time." Afterwards, Claudia looked at Winnie behind Sube and said softly, "You guys have worked hard too." Winnie immediately said, "It is our duty to share the queen's worries." Claudia nodded, looked at Sube again, and said, "Your excellency has helped us so much this time, you must thank you very well." Immediately, one of the queen's guards presented a list to Sube. Sube picked it up and took a look, almost lost his grip. Good guy, just a cursory glance, you can feel that the list in your hand is worth a fortune. 10 top-grade platinum emerald corals, 10 middle-grade platinum deep-sea ice crystals, and 10 sets of low-grade platinum equipment. In addition to this, there are also a dazzling array of plant materials such as gold level and silver level, with a total of hundreds of them. Claudia said a little embarrassedly, "This time my family has been severely affected, and I need to buy supplies from foreigners. I can only show these to thank your excellency. I am really uneasy." Sube collected the list and replied, "Queen Claudia is very polite. These gifts are already very valuable, and I also collected a lot of spoils from the previous battle. On the island now, The open space around the forge is full of dark-tide murloc scales. Augur and the others were so busy that the dark circles came out, and it was still too late to make the materials into equipment. By the time those materials are processed, Sube will be rich. Now Claudia gave out another generous gift, which suddenly made Sube feel that this battle was worth the ticket price. Although it is indeed very difficult, the reward is really rich. But Claudia didn't think so. She felt that she gave too little. If the city does not need to be rebuilt, this list can be multiplied several times. This is the only way to do it now. When the follow-up mermaid family is rich, they will make compensation. After chatting for a while, Claudia said, "Your Excellency, you are tired from traveling and driving. You might as well go to the garden and rest for a while." 99 Sube immediately said, "It's all arranged by Queen Claudia." Sube knew very well that this was just an excuse. Claudia's real purpose was to discuss magic with him. But this is the main hall, and it is obviously inappropriate to say this. Under the leadership of Claudia, Sube came to the back garden. 700 here. He found a repressive aura. But the target is not him, but Claudia. Seeing this situation, Sube became more and more certain that Queen Claudia was trapped by demonic energy and needed outside help. Continuing to walk towards the back garden, Sube noticed the hidden aura in the corner, all of which were at the top level of platinum. In addition, there is no trace of the Queen's guards here. Claudia walked to the chair in the center of the garden and sat down, sighing. "Presumably Your Excellency has discovered it." Sube sat down beside him, nodded and said, "I was aware of it when you killed the Dark-Tide Murlocs before, but I wasn't completely sure." 39 After a pause, Sube asked, "When did it happen?" Claudia didn't answer directly, but took off a pair of jade bracelets on her wrist. Sube glanced. The camouflaged jade bracelet of Zinyao's inferior grade. Immediately, Sube discovered that Claudia's breath had changed. Attributes that had never been seen before also appeared in the field of vision. Name: Claudia, the Mermaid Queen level, Zinyao intermediate skills, 1, the true meaning of water. 2, magical amplification. 3, the Queen's order description, the ruler of the mermaid family, but he is plagued by demonic energy. If you solve this problem, you will gain unlimited benefits. As Sube guessed, the Queen couldn't refresh the entry. This is the iron proof of being corroded by demonic energy. Advertisement Chapter 223, Agreement. Back to the island. Sube pondered for a moment and asked, "When is it?" Claudia said, 10 years ago, when I fought with Queen Naga. I was injured by the opponent, and the devilish energy was contaminated at that time." Speaking of this, Claudia's expression was a bit vicious. "When I solve the hidden danger of demonic energy, I must kill that hateful woman with my own hands." 99 Sube was secretly frightened and very angry. It seems that the Mermaid Queen has indeed been affected a lot. Claudia noticed her gaffe, and smiled bitterly. "I made you laugh." Sube waved his hand. "I admire Queen Claudia's ability to persist until now. Ordinary, aboriginal people will go mad soon after they are infected with demonic energy. But Claudia lasted for 10 years, worthy of the prestige of a star powerhouse." Restraining his mind, Sube asked, "How Queen Claudia wants me to help? I have only tried to absorb the magic energy from the items. As for the erosion into the body, I haven't tried it yet." Claudia said, "Direct absorption probably won't work. In addition, Your Excellency's current strength is still near, so I'm afraid it won't be able to resist the aura left by Queen Naga." Claudia added, "Queen Naga's strength is on a par with me, and she is also an intermediate star, so this matter needs to be considered in the long run." When Sube heard this, he felt that this matter really had to be slowed down. Dude, he can be the diamond class now. Asking him to solve the demonic energy left by the Queen of Stars Naga was a bit unbearable. But Sube understood Claudia's subtext. Not now doesn't mean not in the future. Sube said, "Queen Claudia wants to make a promise with me, and then come to help you solve the hidden dangers completely later?" Claudia nodded and said frankly, "Your Excellency has not only obtained the inheritance of the Demon Slayer warrior, but also has the blessing of extra power. You will definitely be able to accomplish this. I have confidence in you." After a moment's pause, Claudia continued, if I had doubts before, after seeing Winnie, I am absolutely sure. The mermaid queen in front of her could sense Winnie's state, which was what Sube expected. He brought Winnie over to show it off. As for whether it will encounter a crisis, it is possible, but very unlikely. Claudia has faithfully fulfilled her duty as the queen, shielding all the mermaids from the cursed horn by herself. This lets Sube know that there is still hope for the queen. For the continuation of the tribe, Claudia will turn a blind eye to many things. In addition, judging from the queen's attitude, Sube felt that there might be another hidden meaning. She doesn't seem to resent Winnie's change in allegiance. After thinking about it, Sube asked, Queen Claudia, you don't seem to be worried. Claudia asked with a soft smile, why do I need to worry, if your excellency can really solve the problem of demonic erosion, even if it is loyal to you, what's the harm? Forehead. Sube was speechless. Claudia covered her mouth and chuckled, and said, living under the protection of the strong is also a way of survival. Sube scratched his head. It seems to be the case. But Queen Claudia's acceptance rate was too fast. Besides, he can't even hit the strong one now. The mermaid queen of Xinjiao Intermediate is the real powerhouse. Claudia had a different opinion and asked, how long have you been in the island world? Sube immediately replied, 19 days. Claudia shook her head. It's only 19 days. Throughout the 100 years since you humans came to the island world, there has never been a person like your excellency. The same time, another way of saying it. But it wakes up Sube. That's right, judging from his upgrade speed, it won't take long to become a top powerhouse. It's normal for Claudia to place a bet first. Even very sensible. Especially after the Stark-Tide Murloc riot. The mermaid queen has a deeper understanding. And Sube basically let go of his worries. We will talk about it later, anyway. The mermaid queen will not bring new threats at this stage. As for the solution of the magic energy, he would have to wait for him to advance to the platinum level as soon as possible and open the third entry. Concentrating his mind, Sube said, I understand what the queen means. When I advance to the platinum level, I will come back and try to help you solve your concerns. Claudia said, it's a word. Sube replied, a word is a word. Claudia stretched her brows and sighed, in the past 10 years, I have never been so relaxed as I am today. Afterwards, Claudia asked, what's your plan next? Sube thought for a while and said, I'm going to continue upstream and go to the Wood Elves to have a look. It would be great if we could reach a trade cooperation with them. If things go well, they should return and settle down between the two realms of the mermaid and the Wood Elves. It is also convenient to communicate with both sides. Claudia nodded and said, this is a good idea. Although the Wood Elves are powerful, some materials cannot be produced by themselves, and it is much more convenient for your island masters to be able to teleport over long distances. After thinking for a moment, Claudia took off the necklace around her neck, grabbed Sube's hand, put it in his palm, and said, if you want to get in touch with the Wood Elves, you might as well use this necklace as a token. It won't be difficult for you. Sube felt the body temperature on the necklace and said, it's not good. The queen can write me a letter of introduction. Claudia chuckled, don't refuse, your excellency. The Wood Elves are very stubborn and reject outsiders, so the letter of introduction may not work. Sube is not the temperament of ink. Even though Claudia insisted, she accepted it and put it in her personal pocket solemnly. Then, Sube asked, those mermaids on my island? Claudia replied, it is also their honor to be able to follow your excellency. Let them serve your excellency and protect the island. Claudia sighed with sadness in her eyes, I abandoned them first, and I don't know how to face them. Sube didn't know how to answer either. From a strategic level, necessary sacrifices are acceptable, even necessary. Those mermaids also knew the consequences, but they still chose to fight. They are not afraid of sacrifice. It's just from an emotional level that Queen Claudia has trouble convincing herself. Just go ahead and let time fade away. So far, Sube's visit to the Mermaid Palace is basically complete. He is also preparing to return to the island and start the next journey. Claudia said with a little reluctance on her face, Your Excellency, don't sit for a while. Sube Bay waved his hand and smiled freely. Dolls, it's okay, there are many opportunities to deal with each other in the future. Claudia nodded. That's right. And Your Excellency has islands to take care of, so you can't leave for too long. After saying a few more words, Bei got up and said goodbye. Claudia was sent all the way to the gate of the palace. The Queen's guards have prepared the seahorse chariot, which is full of boxes. Inside are the items on the list. Escorted by the Queen's guard, Bei returned to the island. Claudia, on the other hand, returned to the garden, sitting on a chair and thinking with her chin propped up. Her cuffs slipped, and black lines appeared on her exposed white forearms. In the corner of the garden, there was a sound wafting. Does the Queen think he is the man foretold? 35. It may or may not be, but it doesn't matter. Claudia pulled up her sleeves. The important thing is that I don't have much time, and I must determine the path for my clan. The garden fell silent. After a long time, the previous voice sounded again. As you wish, Empress. Advertisement: if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224. The materials are available, but the craftsmanship cannot keep up. After returning to the island, the Queen's guards left. However, they left behind the seahorse chariot that carried the box, which was a little extra gift. It's just that compared to the materials in the box, even a dozen seahorse chariots are insignificant. After all, when Bei looked at the list before, he saw the hanging crystal. With this thing in, he can build a new chariot, or other equipment. When the members of the island heard that Bei had returned, they all gathered around. Yvette leaned in and sniffed, then asked, Islander, the Queen didn't treat you well? Bei wondered. No, the overall conversation is still very pleasant. How can you have such doubts? 35. Yvette looked around and found that the nearest members were all 3 meters away, so she whispered, the Queen is single so far, I'm afraid she will push you. Bei touched Yvette's head and said angrily, your idea is very dangerous. Yvette smiled playfully, then blushed and ran away. Bei didn't care, and asked Tulane to move all the boxes to the open space, then opened them all and began to monitor. The first thing to look at is the emerald coral of the top-grade platinum. The height is more than 2 meters, and the whole body is emerald green, which is exactly the same as jade. But the effect is much stronger. Emerald coral, platinum top-grade, placed in lakes and oceans to enhance the vitality of water sources in a certain area. Winnie explained the effect next to him. Island owner, emerald coral can effectively increase the production of aquatic plants, and it is the main means for our family to ensure food production. Bei understood. 700. The value of this thing is really low. It happens that there are hundreds of mermaids on the island, and it is necessary to expand a super large artificial lake. This emerald coral is very suitable. In the next period of time, the newly added area of the Earth orb will basically be assigned to the artificial lake. Bei refreshed and immediately popped up a purple entry, purified water source, epic level, purifies waters, accelerates circulation, item level is upgraded to top diamond. Unlike the ocean, artificial lakes are fixed. And it is the living area of the mermaid, and the water must be kept clear. This entry comes at a good time. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 35. In just an instant, the emerald coral became more and more transparent, and even made the surrounding air much fresher. 1 is 2. Bei refreshed again. This time, it's also epic, glimmer, epic level, emits shimmer, further increases the production of water plants, and the item level is upgraded to the low-grade star. Bei decisively fixed it. The effects of star-grade and diamond-grade emerald coral are completely different. In such a large artificial lake, aquatic plants must be planted as soon as possible, otherwise it will be a waste of resources. And epic level entries are completely fixed. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The star, BHCF, shines on the emerald coral of the lower grade. It looks like it is not a mortal thing, and the detached aura is very attractive. Tsubei looked at Winnie. Of these 10 emerald corals, 7 are on your side, and the other 3 are on the merman's. 99, Winnie replied. Everything is arranged by the island owner. Immediately, Tsubei called for the mermaid and the merman to take the emerald coral away. Seeing the emerald coral, the merman didn't even dare to accept it at first. How can they enjoy such a good thing? They should give it to the mermaid. Tsubei was helpless, and it is estimated that the concept of the mermaid will not be reversed in a while. It can only be said that this is not for them, but to let them grow aquatic plants and fish and shrimp in the artificial lake to bring benefits to the island. Having said this, the merman immediately agreed, saying that they would definitely complete the task. Then I carefully carried the emerald coral back and arranged for members to guard it day and night. Then, Tsubei looked at the deep-sea ice crystals in the other box. These ice crystals are dark blue as a whole, indicating that they are flat and have been polished into prisms, with a length of 70 centimeters and a diameter of 30 centimeters. Exuding an icy aura, with Tsubei's strength, they all shuddered subconsciously. Deep-sea ice crystal, platinum middle grade, can be used to cast large energy cannons. A simple sentence. Let Tsubei see the strategic value contained in it. How powerful the large energy cannon was, Tsubei didn't know. But the power of the medium-sized energy cannon, Shaishin, has been shown many times. Go down with one shot and easily cover an area of 200 or 300 meters. The gold level and below are directly killed. And the large energy cannon can definitely kill a platinum level powerhouse in one shot. 10 deep-sea ice crystals are enough to create 10 large energy cannons. Who can withstand this round of salvo? But Tsubei thought of something else. He saw a lot of energy cannons on the city wall of the mermaid, but in the previous battle, he had not seen the mermaid use it. Informed Winnie of this doubt, Winnie replied, Islander, the queen maintained a magic barrier before. If the energy cannon is used inside, it will undoubtedly increase the burden on the queen. As for the dark-tide merlics, their energy cannons are small in size and cannot break through the barrier, even the buffer zone. In addition to their number, the energy cannon will only cause more damage to them, so they are not used much. Tsubei nodded. Very reasonable. Immediately, Tsubei called Garten. Didn't say anything, just pointed to the deep-sea ice crystal. Garten's lips were trembling with excitement. I wanted to jump up to see it for real. But when I thought of the terrifying low temperature of deep-sea ice crystals, I shrank my hand back. Garten rubbed his hands together and asked excitedly, Islander, is this thing from the Mermaid Queen? Afterwards, Garten patted his head and said to himself, it must have been given by the Queen, and no one else can collect this thing except mermaids. Tsubei didn't care either, Garten was simply overexcited. After the excitement, Garten said with a bitter face, Islander, to be honest, our 3 brothers do not have the technology to forge large energy cannons. Although the elders in the clan have this ability, they still have to sit in the clan and cannot leave easily. This question made Tsubei a little worried. Such a valuable item is not suitable for outsiders to hand over to the dwarf tribe for forging. After thinking for a moment, Tsubei said, it's really not possible. We will go to the dwarf tribe with deep-sea ice crystals. Garten stroked his beard, nodded and said, this is a way. Since the deep-sea ice crystals will not be used in a short period of time, Tsubei also postponed the refresh of the entry. After asking about the forging progress of the medium energy cannon, Tsubei closed the box and handed it over to Garten to move it to the warehouse of the forge. Garten left happily, ready to go back to share the joy with the 2 brothers. This trip is really right. Not only can it cast a dozen medium-sized energy cannons, but now even the materials for large-scale energy cannons are available. Gabriel's fears have become a reality. The development speed of the island owner is faster than the speed of their craftsmanship. Garten's footsteps became firmer. He decided to go back and work harder. He must continue to temper his skills, and strive to help the island owner to solve problems. Tsubei didn't think too much about it. It's a pity that large energy cannons can be cast temporarily, but it's not a big problem. Immediately, Tsubei checked 10 platinum level equipment. The names are very consistent. They are all called Sea God armor. Of course, these equipments have nothing to do with Sea God. They are purely famous. In terms of styling, 9 of them are for mermaids. The last set was prepared for him. But Tsubei's body is the best equipment, and this platinum level equipment is optional for him. However, it still needs to be refreshed. Just brush it, it's very good, and it's an epic entry. Swift Wind, epic level, add Swift Wind special effect to equipment, increase movement speed, and upgrade item level to lower diamond fixed directly. Increase the movement speed, then this set of equipment can be used. With the help of Yvette and others, Tsubei changed into the armor of the goddess of the sea, causing the girl's cheeks to blush. So handsome. Advertisement Chapter 225 Steady improvement. After fixing the Swift Wind, the rank of the sea god's armor was upgraded to the diamond rank, which was already a transcendent existence. Take it to the outside world, enough to cause a sensation. Not to mention that the senior island owner will be moved by the wind, and even the aborigines of the island world will drool. The only fly in the ointment is that the second entry is very general, and the highest level of brushing is rare, so it can only be left at first and refreshed later. After wearing the armor, Tsubei moved his hands and feet, and calculated that the speed bonus of the Swift Wind was about 20%. Combined with his high movement speed, the effect is very significant. Most importantly, dress handsomely. The whole set of equipment includes a helmet, shoulder pads, breastplate, belt, skirt, boots, arm guards, gloves, a total of 8 parts. There is a certain degree of tightness, can be adjusted by yourself. After wearing it, it is very docile, and Tsubei's tall and straight body is set off even more heroically. Duling, Juanmenayu, the Lin family sisters, as well as Yvette and Helena, surrounded Tsubei, Tutsuke admiration. Tsubei was helpless. Is he a model? But the Poseidon armor is for combat, not a guard of honor. After testing for a while, Tsubei took off his armor and said, "The remaining 9 sets will be handed over to Winnie, Elaine, Miria, and Teresa. As for the rest of the set, put it aside first and see which mermaid is promoted to the gold level first, and it will be used by whomever. The Poseidon armor given by the Mermaid Queen must be given priority to the mermaid, and there is no need to modify it. The main reason is that the material of the diamond level Poseidon armor is too hard. Even the 3 Garten brothers would have to work hard to make changes, and the effect may not be good. Simply don't make any changes, just use it for the mermaid. For this arrangement, everyone will naturally not object. Yvette clenched her pink fist and decided to work harder. In the previous battle, she has been promoted to the top silver level, and she is not far from being promoted to the gold level. But there are many competitors. Among the 500 mermaids, many of them have stayed at the silver top level for a long time and may be promoted at any time. Yvette felt the need to ask Helena for help. She and the island owner tested and upgraded the secret medicine, and the effect is remarkable, and they will soon be upgraded to the top gold. This upgrade speed makes others envious. However, this matter cannot be separated from Duling's help. After all, there is a prerequisite, that is, Tsubei must be involved. If he doesn't have time, Yvette will not be able to upgrade even if he prepares a box of upgrade secret medicine. While Tsubei was checking the other boxes, Yvette pulled Duling and the others to the corner to discuss, laughing from time to time. Tsubei, who was comparing the list, shuddered. He always felt as if he was going to suffer, but he didn't know what the problem was. Could it be that it was frozen by deep-sea ice crystals just now? Tsubei muttered secretly. Then put it out of your head. The number and types of gold level items presented by Queen Claudia are more numerous. It is generally dominated by seeds, and is basically aquatic, just matching with emerald coral. There is no good entry for the refresh of the seeds, and it can only be cultivated by mermaids and mermen. As for the follow-up refresh, it's not a big problem. Tsubei just swims to the bottom of the lake, just to exercise. The rest of the silver level materials are mainly all kinds of pearls. But this is normal. To say what is the most territory of mermaids, it must be pearls. The continuous output of various seashells is almost filling the warehouse. Tsubei glanced around and found a lot of bright light pearls. Thinking that this is the favorite of the flower fairy family, He immediately called Avina over. Avina's eyes straightened when she saw 2 boxes full of bright light pearls. "Islander, are these all given to us?" Although Avina couldn't move her eyes, she still kept her sanity. She felt that these bright pearls should be used to exchange for the development of the island, rather than let them stand by. Although Mingwang pearls are really beautiful. Sube smiled and said, "Don't worry, these bright light pearls are a reward for you. You have worked hard to prepare explosive potions during this time." In the previous battle, the explosive potion also played a huge role. And now there are only 10 flower fairies on the island. So many potions are prepared by them day and night. These bright pearls were their reward, and Sube felt that they were missing. Avina knew the character of her island owner, so she no longer refused, and said with a smile, "Then I will thank the island owner." Then, Sube asked about the new generation of flower fairies. Speaking of this, Avina's smile couldn't be stopped any longer, and proudly said, "Islander, in 2 days, you will be able to see the new flower fairy." "So fast?" Sube was a little surprised. It wasn't long before Avina mentioned this matter, only about 10 days. Avina explained, "Islander, you forgot that the concentration of spiritual energy on our island is terrifyingly high, and it has an excellent benefit for the birth of our clan." 5 Sube nodded, "Then I can rest assured, if there is any request to find the spirit of the island, if she can't solve it, just tell me." Avina answered repeatedly, "Let the earth spirit carry the Mingwang pearl," and Avina said goodbye and left. Sube's mood grew more and more joyful. Then he ordered another box of pearls, called Dueling over, and instructed, "These will be sent to the power user and the gunner troop as a gift from me." Dueling curiously said, "Islander, which sister have you taken your fancy to again?" Sube knocked on Dueling's head and said, "Don't talk nonsense, go quickly." Dueling hummed a little tune and left, but before she left, she directly cheered at Sube, which made Sube's heart tremble. Thinking of the previous shiver, Sube became more cautious. What are these chicks tinkering with? Thinking of this, Sube called Juan Menayu over and asked, "Menayu, what are you discussing?" Juan Menayu's expression was obviously hesitant. She wanted to say it, but thinking of Yvette's request, she swallowed the words again. "I am a surprise for the owner of the island, nothing else." Juan Menayu found a reason for herself in her heart, and then said calmly, "Island owner, it's nothing, it's just some daily chores." Sube nodded, indicating that he knew, but he was muttering in his heart. Afterwards, the sisters of the Lin family were also called over for questioning, but they still could not get a letter of approval. Sube raised his head and sighed. A woman's heart, a needle at the bottom of the sea. After moving all the supplies sent by Claudia to the warehouse, Sube brought in Teresa and other 5 gold-level mermaids. The 500 mermaids on the island need to rearrange their tasks. Everyone found a place to sit and chat. Sube said, "Although you were all on patrol before, I believe that there are still people who don't like fighting and want to live a quiet life. If you choose these mermaids, just let them do production work." 99 Teresa opened her mouth to speak. After all, in their opinion, the silver-level clansmen should take up the responsibility of fighting and fight for the living space for the weaker clansmen. It is true that the mermaid family is a strong family, and there are still many enemies. Just like the Stark-Tide Murloc riot. But now they belong to Sube's command, the original rules naturally have to be revised. After thinking for a moment, Teresa said, "Everything is arranged by the island owner." The other 4 also had no opinion. "That's right." Sube smiled and then arranged, "Those with a strong will to fight stay in the patrol team, the island still needs fighting troops." Afterwards, Sube drew on the power of the spirit of the island to outline several chariot styles. This is the new equipment he envisions. The mermaid's original patrol team, a group of 3, drove the seahorse chariot. The captain was responsible for controlling the direction, and the 2 deputies attacked and defended. Because mermaids are naturally proficient in water skills, this tactic makes them unfavorable in the ocean, making the enemy scream. But Sube felt that this was too dangerous. Isn't it bad to blast the opponent with energy cannons? No matter how bad it is, You can throw mines. Why go into battle yourself? He is going to build a larger chariot, carry equipment, and kill the enemy in the distance. Teresa looked at each other in dismay. It's not a big problem to do this, but the cost is too great. After a battle, countless money is consumed. Tsubei immediately said that problems that can be solved with money are not called problems. Advertisement. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.